John, what is a fat trap?
A fat trap?
Yeah.
When I think of fat trap, I would think of like maybe a piece of clothing that isn't like sewn properly, and there's like a little part that like a little bit of your pudge could get caught in.
That could be one of the descriptions of a fat trap.
Okay,
Is it like a music genre?
No.
All right, sorry, wait, hang on. Is this PH fat or F fat? I should have opened with this question.
F. I offered...
Wait a minute, I know what this is about. I don't want to talk about this.
I left chocolate out for John.
Oh.
Because he was minding Biscuit, because he's been in need of company of a pet as well. That's true.
That is true. There is an emotional void in me. I can't get little pancakes to whip it for a long time.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
You were minding Biscuit for a few days last week. I left out chocolate as a thank you, but I did not include a thank you note, which is what I did with you, Niamh.
Yeah.
And I wrote it in first person perspective of Biscuit.
Hang on.
It was very cute.
Hang on. Why did Niamh get an instructional note and I didn't?
Because you came over in person and I told you how to mind a hedgehog.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's fun to write as your pet a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I probably should have written another note, but
no, okay. I got a note for like how to take care of Biscuit. That was all taken care of. But the chocolate, the gift, was just left beside the note.
No, it was 2 slabs of chocolate with the note wedged in between.
So that was clear.
I don't think that's what it was.
And John,
I don't think that's what it was.
And John
at all.
thought it was a fat trap.
No. If the note was wedged in between, I would have figured it out. You left it to the side of the note, Brian.
It was wedged in between.
It was not wedged in between.
I layered that shit.
Then someone else unlayered it. I think as you guys were leaving the apartment, Rebecca said, "Oh, he won't see the note here," which I wouldn't have, and took it out and put it beside it.
Did you not notice that there were 2 like chocolate bars beside the note?
Yeah, I did, but now your argument has changed from what it originally was, leading to what I believe is an indiscrepancy in your case, Brian. And why is he lying, Niamh? Why did he lie originally? Is it because he knows that he's wrong?
I don't know.
It was just really weird to come back and the chocolate was still there, and I was like,
but
why
Brian, it was just food in your apartment on a table.
You didn't take the chocolate?
No, I didn't take the chocolate.
Because you knew it was a fat trap.
I knew it. I knew that's what it was. I knew you were trying to trap me.
So you knew that you would have presumed, oh, this is a gift for the pet minding.
See, I was like, I'm 90% sure this is a gift. I'm 5% sure this is unintentional. And I'm 60% sure that this is a trap for Brian.
That's not how numbers work.
No one knows how numbers work. And so, yeah, I abstained because I was like, if this chocolate is truly for me, it will come into my possession somehow.
And did it?
It did. Lo and behold, Rebecca brought it over to me another time.
And what else did she bring over?
Her Yu-Gi-Oh portfolio.
What else did she bring over that was edible?
I beat Rebecca in Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way.
That's shocking.
They did best out of 3. John won 2, Rebecca won 1.
Oh no. What type of deck did you use?
You know.
Use the zombie deck. Anyway.
or did I?
Now, Rebecca also brought over Pringles. Left them behind. So it's cool if we can come back and collect them.
Yeah.
Because they haven't been opened yet.
Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah, they've not been. So if I go to your apartment right now, there's uneaten Pringles.
Just walk up to Michelle and ask, "Where's the Pringles?" I don't really like Pringles, so it's not any of my business.
It sounds like you're deflecting upon someone else.
I'm not deflecting. Brian, when you go into like this granular detail about how I'm lying, it just makes you sound crazy. I just want you to know that.
I guess we're just being very pedantic about food and what is a fat trap. Anyway, a fat trap is you leave food out for someone. If they fall for it and eat the food, you get to go, "Hey, that wasn't for you. You're fat and you've fallen into the trap."
Oh my god. Wait, does that mean everything you've ever left out for me was a fat trap?
Every time I've left a bowl of jelly beans out, those were just for me. But, you know, I may have...
Niamh, sometimes he sends me the Excel document with the date, time, and pieces of food, and I am shocked. Niamh, you need to cool it with the jelly beans.
Look, you leave jelly beans out, I'm going to eat them.
Do you know what I really wanted to do, though?
I think it's fair game. I think if you leave food out in your kitchen and
it
invite
is.
someone over, I'm eating it.
They're guests.
If you invite someone over, I think so. Because, like there was kettle corn here earlier, and I took some of that kettle corn. But
the candy corn.
Yeah, candy corn. Sorry.
Oh, it fucking sucks. America, what are you doing?
That's just American sweets. They don't understand.
Yeah, I
they
think
they don't get it.
They have a very limited palate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just processed shit.
Yeah, it's like when you talk shit about American chocolate and people just lose their minds. I still can't get over how fucking angry some people got. Not in our comments because our audience is great, but yeah. But what I wanted to do, Niamh, is I wanted to leave the chocolate where it is, but I also noticed that Bryan had a half-finished bottle of Pepsi Max in his fridge, and I really want to drink the Pepsi Max and leave the empty bottle in the fridge without touching the chocolate.
What stopped you?
Because then he wouldn't let me mind Biscuit again, and I do like hanging out with Biscuit.
He is very fun
He's
to
great,
mind.
yeah, he's a good lad.
Should I also tell the Biscuit story?
I think you should. Can I preface this?
Sure.
So we have a group chat that we organize things with, and we get, I would say, like a kind of concerned message from Bryan today.
Yeah.
Warning us that Biscuit is getting some treatments, and to I can't remember the specific, to keep that in mind for later. And I was like, oh, poor Biscuit. But I was also a little like, I didn't know what you meant by keep that in mind, because I was trying to figure out like what are the actions I could or couldn't take to affect this situation, and I was really coming up with nothing. And there's a kind of vague communication that I just can't interpret, and it really stressed me out. So I had to message you back going, okay, Bryan, what do you want us to do or not do? And then you explained that you might just need to check on Biscuit during the podcast, and we might have to just keep it down a little bit, which is totally fair.
Because he was getting a general anesthetic.
A general anesthetic. They found a lump. That's no good.
Yeah, we were bathing him 2 weeks ago. We found a lump. This time last year, he had a lump that turned out to be a benign tumor. And so since then, we're just very, very worried about lumps and bumps because small mammals are prone to them. And he's almost 4 years old, so he's kind of entering his senior years. And this was in his nether regions, and we've noticed that his pee has gotten smellier, so we thought there might have been an infection. He did a urine test, passed it 100%. We still wanted the lump checked out, so I dropped him. So he was dropped off at the vet this morning, and then I get a message from the vet, and we get some pictures and a description, and it's a very, very well lit, detailed video.
I'm gonna call it precise.
Yeah, it's
of a hand.
It's a very intimate video of a hand probing a male hedgehog's groin. And going, yeah, there's two lumps here. It's the right testicle and the left testicle. He's fine. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, they're big, but they're fine.
Now in Bryan's defense, these are some fucking big balls. If you asked me to draw a hedgehog and then draw like in red pen how big I think the testicles are, I would have gone at least 2 or 3 times smaller than this.
Or at least from my knowledge from mammals, like say, like I've had rats before, male rats, their testicles are, they're at the end of their body. It's a very obvious difference from a female rat. But with the hedgehog, it's
like below where the belly button might be.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, he has a heaving bollock, and that's the medical term.
I've heard Niamh laugh a lot during this podcast. I've never heard a laugh that sounded quite like that.
Sorry. I didn't expect the words heaving bollocks.
Because I guess it's normally like a heaving bosom, but it's just so much fun.
I always think there's something kind of, because this is not the first time that I've heard Bryan use the term heaving bollock, and I always think there's something very like aggressive about how it sounds. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's lunging at you.
Yeah, like it's coming for you.
It's like in a wheelbarrow and it's going downhill and it's going to hit you.
It's like those little tanukis. Like they need those supported.
They do.
And I said to Bryan, there's a very funny video on the internet which I'll look for and share as my loot drop of a vet technician who is dealing with a woman who thinks her dog has mites and is just squeezing these mites and being like, look, there's mites on my dog. And the vet technician is like, where? And your one keeps pointing them out and pulling them, and she's just pulling her male dog's nipples consistently. It's a very funny video. I will find it.
And they form this perfect rectangle. It's like they're organized.
This woman was so mad because she was just like, a male dog can't have nipples.
No.
Ah.
Only the females have nipples. That's how it works in mammals, apparently.
They're for decoration.
Do you ever look at like your nipples, Brian, and be like, what could have been?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Same.
I'm just like, dude, you could be like working town right now, but you're not. You could be nursing, but instead you're just nothing.
The idea of boobs is such like a... I can't imagine what that's like. I have nowhere to go from that conversation. Just a thought I'm putting out there.
Just John...
In the way and sometimes sore.
Yeah.
But also brilliant. It's the price we must pay.
Who doesn't like a titty?
Yeah.
Because like, I'd say like 95% of the time the male extremity is just kind of in the way. It's just frustrating. There's certain ring fit exercises that like you really got to get down there and scoop if you want to do them.
Chafing.
There's certain look. You know, I think being a man, you got it pretty easy. Just putting it out there in general, a lot of advantages. But there are some yoga poses which good fucking luck. Welcome to the Let's Fight a Boss video game podcast, the world's strongest video game podcast. I am sitting here with two of everything I can think of is just like inappropriate or offensive now because of just
Two of the best heaving bollocks.
Two of the left and the right heaving bollock. It's
Go on.
first off, he makes girls. It's Bryan.
Hey, I hang lower.
To my right, producing only boys. It's Niamh.
You're welcome.
And as always, the
phallus.
the centerpiece of this podcast, it's John.
The willy. The peen.
Sometimes it's like we mention how like fan art of something could be nice. I want to put out a specific request that no one ever, first of all, do fan art of what I just said. Talk about what I just said, and if you can help it, think about what I just said. We're all just going to move past it. It's not going to become a running thing. You little shits on the fucking Discord, I don't ever want to hear any of you talk about this. Okay?
I don't look. This episode comes out approximately on the 1st of November. If you have one, check yourself.
Yeah, hell yeah, check yourself out. I don't ever really know what I'm doing when I do that.
You do it in the bath, so you have buoyancy.
Oh my.
What's Niamh,
No,
Niamh,
this
what's wrong?
is
What's wrong
important.
with
No,
men's
you're
health?
right. You're
What's wrong
right.
with men's health,
You're right.
Niamh?
It's important. I just didn't expect to hear the word buoyancy. You're using loads of great words.
Thanks. I do think the language and being words is good.
There's good, what is it, onomatopoeia to the word buoyancy?
The buoyant bollocks.
Assonance or
It
alliteration.
sounds like what it is.
Yeah. it
Buoyancy
does.
is a good word. Are there any words you guys just straight up don't like?
No, I don't think so.
I don't like the word panty.
Why?
Just say underwear.
What about as a name, a la panty and stocking?
That's cool. The name Fanny is just
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I don't like it.
Sweet Aunt Fanny.
I remember one time my friend's mom called me to find out where he was, and for some reason this was related to where my dog was. I can't remember why, and she was just like, "I see, and is your dog out for a tinkle?" And I remember just at the time thinking like, this woman's a fucking dork.
I have one more female genitalia one, and that is I do not like when cats are called pussy.
Yeah.
It's just like, here, puss, 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 puss. I don't know about that.
In general, I don't know. There's something about that term that
I
I always feel like it sounds really vulgar, and I just never use it.
Is it just reminding you of your 20s or something? What's going on?
That was my chat up line. And surprisingly, it worked.
Oh, I bet it does.
I don't think there's many words I dislike in general.
What about like spade?
How about like supple?
No,
Supple's
supple's
a nice
good. Yeah, I
word.
like supple.
I don't get why people dislike the word moist.
Yeah.
I'm kind of weird about the word moist.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't know. It's fine.
I don't like when people say it with confidence.
There's a moistness to the air. What's wrong with that?
I don't know about that.
I guess it's the context.
I guess, but I don't know. I think people get too weird about vagina shit.
Okay. Didn't know we were going there.
I thought that's what you meant by context.
I thought we were talking about a moist ball sack. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking of like if someone was like your food is moist, which is bad in every case except a cake.
Yeah.
A moist brownie is good.
Yeah,
it's
well,
kind of cake.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got to be cooling down.
Moist milkshake
or heating up.
Oh no. I think we're gonna have to censor a lot of this.
I think it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be a bunch of bleeps. We don't know what we're saying.
Oh god. Okay, media. ReZero. So I watched a bunch more episodes of ReZero, and I think in hindsight, not that I was too gentle on that show, but at the point I'm at now, now it is the show I thought it was. Now it is the isekai with the special boy and all the beautiful women are nice to him. Basically, I really enjoyed the time mechanic of this show. I'm not going to explain it again, but it's like, it was interesting. Dude goes like back to the start of the day when he dies and all that kind of stuff, and they did some interesting stuff with that. And then like where we left off last time was this whole murder mystery in the mansion, and it's like, who's doing the killing? What's going on? You get to the end of that mystery and you find out what's happening, and it's just bad. It's bad not in a way that I think like Bryan, it's a real so that's what happened moment.
Oh,
it's
brilliant.
like when the killer is revealed, you generally want that to like recontextualize the story, right? Like that's the fun of those moments. When the killer is revealed, like the final killer, it's nothing. Like it's less than nothing. It's like, oh, this barely makes sense, but all right. And so since all that got resolved, the guy hasn't died anymore, and that was like 8 episodes ago. And without that show's like time mechanic, this is like the biggest criticism I could hit it with. It is sorrowfully dull. It's just not very interesting, and none of the character writing is strong enough to do anything about it. And like it's real tropey, but not in a bad way, but just like, well, like as in not in like an offensive way, but more just a kind of like, oh, this guy is excited that there is a maid in shot, and now here is a cat girl, and he's excited about that. And it's like, oh, this dude likes anime. And I really fucking hate it when anime characters like anime, because I don't need to be reminded of what a piece of shit I am, okay? I don't need that.
It's escapism, not realism.
Like it's there was a point where I was enjoying it, but now I really am looking at this show and just being like, why do people care?
How many episodes are you in at this?
I'm on the 16th episode, and I'll probably finish it because I got like 8 more. Yeah, and like, if you like it, more power to you. Like if I dislike something and you enjoyed it, you win. I would love to enjoy everything. I would love if everything made me happy. It does not. This does not. It's just, to me, it's getting to the point now where it's just a parody of modern anime with no punchline.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. You both saw Halloween Kills.
Yes.
Yeah.
Niamh, Michelle's going to be heartbroken.
Oh, look,
It's not worth watching, honestly.
Yeah.
It's not good.
She doesn't know that.
I can't go to the cinema right now because my dog's afraid of fireworks. He climbed into the fireplace and is full of soot. It is so hard to get soot out of a dog.
And he's like a thick fur, so
Yeah.
like that's going deep.
He's like one of those not David Cage, but it could be.
David Blaine?
Oh, one of those like sequence cushions where one side is sequence and then you push it over and the other side is the actor who yells all the time.
Nick Cage?
There we go. Yes. One of those online it's like one of those cushions where his fur is orange and then you push it the opposite
got a
way and
pattern.
it's all black.
Yeah.
Aw, poor
He's
Dash.
just covered.
Poor fella.
So I can't leave the house because my dog is suddenly this year only afraid of fireworks.
Okay, so what's like the basic premise of this movie?
It continues from the same night of
Yeah.
Halloween, the 2018 film.
Like from the exact same moment, at the end of Halloween 2018, Laurie, her daughter, and her daughter, so like the 3 generation of the Strodes, are like making their way away from the house as it burns. This kind of starts and they are driving away and the fire brigade are going towards the burning house. And Laurie's all like,
Michael
let
Myers,
them burn.
Yeah, and Michael Myers is locked in the basement, like chained up with like a fence grill like on top, so he can't get out of the basement. Mm-hmm. And the firemen rescue him, and Michael Myers thanks them by killing them. Also, this film has more murder, like more kills than any Halloween film I've seen. Because usually there's like 4 or 5 kills and they all matter. I'd say there's about 50 kills in this movie.
Whoa.
Yeah, and none of them are great.
Yeah, he just tears through people.
That's a shame. There's a real art to those original Halloween kills.
Yeah.
The movie also has like a prologue flashback where they use a grain on it and it looks like it's filmed in 1978. And that bit looks cool. And they're kind of explaining what happened after the events of Halloween, the original Halloween, because Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills retcon all the sequels so that Halloween 1978 leads directly into Halloween 2018, 40 years later.
Yeah.
And so
Halloween 2, which happens on the same night, doesn't happen.
No. So you don't get that reveal that like they're brother and sister.
Yeah, that Laurie's adopted, and that Michael Myers is her brother. But then this acknowledges it in that it continues from the same night, and Laurie is in the hospital, but it's way worse.
It's so weird. Like, it opens with the flashback, and I thought the mask looks great. It looks really nice.
Yeah, it does. It looks so good.
And Michael looks really cool.
And they have the guy
Michael
from the insane asylum again, the old British guy,
Dr. Loomis.
Yeah, and the way they've done him digitally looks really, really good. It's like an actor that looks like him, but then they've used a bit of CGI, and like it's really convincing.
It looks pretty good, but at that stage I was kind of like, why do we need this if this is a direct sequel from the first one? And what they're doing with Halloween Kills is they've now decided that Laurie isn't Michael's goal, and instead the entire town of Haddonfield has kind of been menaced by Michael. So it's a way of introducing the cop Frank more into the story and more of Haddonfield into Michael's story as well, because the whole thing with this movie is the town are rising up against Michael, which conceptually isn't too bad. I think it's maybe what they should have left for the third movie, and maybe the second movie is Michael chasing Laurie again and harassing the town, because with this they're doing a lot of retconning of not only the original Halloween movie, but Halloween 2018, where the whole part of that is kind of like Laurie's a crazy like lady who can't let it go, and the mom is just like, oh, she's just like obsessed and like stuck in her trauma and she can't let it go kind of thing, and no one else really gives a shit about it. But with this one, it's like, oh yeah, we were all so menaced and like pained by Michael and the history of it, and here's all the past characters. There's
this weird expo dump in a bar where someone explains the events of the night, and they too believe that Michael Myers will come back.
Yeah. And it's just like, that to me felt so weird, because it was kind of like these people did not give a shit literally like within the story 12 hours ago, and now suddenly they're all like, you know, it's the 40-year anniversary.
40 years ago!
Like tonight.
Evil dies tonight.
And like they're all super concerned that he could come back, and how much he fucked up their family trees, and just like, my grandpa had history, or I was a little boy and ran into him.
It was 40 years ago when I was a kid. You protected me.
And it just feels like really okay, like kind of out of nowhere, especially because it's a retcon of 1, and like, I don't know, 18 didn't touch on this stuff at all, and instead really had Laurie as this kind of lone person stuck in her trauma, and that was kind of what was cool about it.
Yeah, she was great in it.
I have a question. How much of a wizard is Michael in this film?
Very.
Yeah, like, I think the worst one is Halloween H2O, 20 years later, in which, like, I think he survives a decapitation in that film.
Turns out it was someone else.
That's it, yeah. But like in that film, he's just like a crash test dummy, and he's fine. In this, they've done a good job of him, like, he wants to kill people, and he does it because he's curious, and they really, really push the curiosity. Like, there's one scene where he stabs someone, and then he gets the entire cutlery set and tries out every knife on the dead body.
That's kind of
and they
fun.
hang on it
Yeah.
And that was kind of interesting in that, like, you get to see Michael's motivation.
Yeah, it reminds me of that first scene where he like tilts his head in Halloween 1 where he pins a guy against the wall.
He's very curious in this, and it's cool to see his drive. And like the big kind of like, in some ways he kind of feels like the protagonist, because like it's his motivation throughout the movie that kind of pushes the narrative, and he just wants to go to the house that he grew up in and look out the window. Which is very simple, but it works.
I thought he seemed very, like, much more vindictive this time, because usually he, like, walks through people, and people who are in his way to get to Laurie, he will kill them. But he doesn't go all the way. Like, he walks by a child, like a baby in a crib in 2018, and he wouldn't kill the baby, obviously. But in this version, I feel like the Michael from Halloween Kills would have done it. He seems like he's amped up his vindictiveness. Like, I thought the scene that Bryan was talking about where he's, like, putting all the knives in the guy's back in front of someone, he was doing it out of curiosity, but also to hurt her. Because he starts arranging the bodies, which he's never done before, in kind of a Hannibal-esque way, which seems kind of like more vindictive than Michael should do. Like, I feel like Michael's cool because he walks through people and doesn't give a shit, but now he's like staging bodies to make it upsetting for other people, kind of thing. And maybe he's angry because he got burned and shit, but like... It
really feels like those are Easter eggs, because one of the body stages have the tree masks from Halloween 3. Yeah. So they are just nods. They don't mean anything.
I think movies need to stop doing this as it being stopped. Like I don't know, like changing maybe Michael's, like making him more vindictive to get in the use of the masks from 3, when he's never really been like that.
Yeah, like a major flaw of this film is Laurie and Michael Myers do not share any scenes. They do not interact at all.
Weird.
They have nothing to do with each other in this film. And that's kind of wrong.
So what's Laurie doing in this movie?
Nothing. She's in hospital. I kind of feel like Jamie Lee Curtis was like not available for a lot of this, and they kind of rode around it because she got stabbed in 2018 one.
Yeah, and she gets surgery and she has her stitches. Yeah. And like twice she gets out of bed and it implies she's going to take control of the situation, but then doesn't because she's just had surgery.
And that happens twice.
More or less, yeah.
But like, I feel like
they keep just putting her in the bed.
You can get away with that in the movie. It's just like she stabs herself with morphine and then she's ready to go kind of thing, but then she's not.
But then gets like bumped in the stomach and the stitches burst and she has to go back into bed.
You're watching a movie, you're ready to kind of let that go and let her go be the protagonist because you're watching it for Michael and Laurie. But this movie was really like, it's not actually about you, Laurie. It's about the entire town. And I was just like, that's actually not what I care about at all in this. And like, I don't need him to specifically want to kill Laurie, but she is the one that got away. But this whole town stuff gets really weird because they introduce all the original children from like the original movie. So you've got like little Tommy, little Lindsay, and little, what is his name? Ronnie? Anyway, 3 kids that were in the original movie. They come back as adults. And this guy, Tommy...
Yeah, they're all in their, like, mid-40s now.
Gets so much fucking screen time, and he sucks. He sucks so hard. I hate him as a character.
What's his deal?
He has a baseball bat, like little slugger or some shit.
Yeah, whole slugger.
And he's just like, I'm gonna beat the shit out of Michael and kill him because he's been harassing this town for too long. He hasn't. He had that one night of murder 40 years ago. Like, he hasn't been coming back. He's been in an insane asylum.
Yeah, he's done nothing for 40 years.
Yeah, but they're kind of like, no, it's like we've lived in fear because of that night.
And as well, in the 2018 movie, Michael escapes because a bus carrying inmates crashes and several of the inmates escape. So one of the other escaped inmates is in this, and they mistake him for Michael Myers because he matches the profile of looking like a deranged insane asylum escapee.
But doesn't have any height or girth or strength of
he's
Michael
just this
Myers.
like really small scared man, but it goes into the mob mentality, and they drive him into a situation where he jumps off a building, and they straight up have the line, maybe we were the monsters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So they're doing
Now,
all
now
this,
we're hitting like so bad it's good.
but
No.
no. But no.
Oh, I don't know.
No, this everyone
Oh,
goes
it's such a
crazy
groan.
because like they haven't been menaced by this guy. A whole hospital goes insane to the point where doctors are throwing people downstairs to get at this little man who's terrified, who doesn't look anything like Michael. So they're all in such a crazy frenzy. And this poor dude commits suicide out of fear. And like at the end, it's like, and you're like, oh, so mob justice bad? But then at the end, they were like, no, we need mob justice again, because then they go after Michael as a mob again.
Yeah, and they all take
But
turns.
this time.
And so they all take turns wailing on him. And then they're like, yeah, we did it. But like, he's Michael Myers, so he just like recharges his batteries and just fucking wails back.
So
Yeah.
there's a scene in this movie where a crowd beats the shit out of Michael Myers.
Yeah, but it isn't as cool as you would think it is.
It doesn't sound that cool. Like, that's not why I go to Halloween movies.
But Michael kills them all, and it's just like, so it's like mob justice good, mob justice bad. No, wait, mob justice good again. Wait, not if he's a magic monster who is feeds on violence and fear.
Evil dies tonight!
Evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight!
And like the dialogue in this is awful. Like I could not get over. Like I think I took some notes on how shit the dialogue was, because I think 2018 is like a near perfect horror movie. That is beautifully shot.
It's a very tight
beautifully
script.
acted, a super tight script. With this,
That film knows exactly what it's doing.
yeah, with this, like, the action is really, really unclear. There's a moment where Michael is pulling a woman outside of a car by her hair, but is also pulling another woman from the back seat out of the car at the same time. How is it happening? I don't know. And there's loads of moments where the action is just completely unclear, and you don't really remember, like, he's very vindictive and violent, but you don't really remember the kills in the same way as 2018.
It's got some really stupid Tom and Jerry kills. Like, there's a bit where a woman tries to shoot Michael Myers, but gets hit by a car door, and the gun ejects into her head and shoots her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of makes me like, what are they going for here?
I don't. And this is the same team that did Halloween 2018, because it's Danny McBride and one of the other creatives behind his HBO shows. Like, they're taking control of all three of these movies, and these two are more or less made back to back. Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends or something, or
Yeah, Halloween Ends is the next one.
which is out this time next year.
So they weren't made back to back as the first movie, with the first movie.
The first movie was standalone, but
Yeah.
from the way the test screenings were going, they had greenlit a second and third movie.
Yeah, they were like, this is going to be a trilogy, which, like, Jamie Lee Curtis was like, I'm only coming back if this, like, is important to Laurie, if this makes sense for Laurie as a character. And 2018, it did.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it,
totally.
like,
Really interesting stuff with their character.
yeah, and in this, it's just, like, nothing. She does not interact with him at all, so it's all about the town.
She just hangs out in the movie.
And again, I don't think that's a bad idea, it just did not work for this at all. It
I guess
felt super sloppy.
that's where they're gonna go with the third one. Then Laurie's back.
Yeah, it's like Laurie will hunt him down now.
Oh
But
yeah,
I
no,
think,
no, she definitely will because of what happens at the very end. But
I
yeah.
think what they should have done with the Halloween Kills is Michael chases down the three women, Laurie, her daughter, and her granddaughter, and menaces the town in that. And then in the third one, the town band together with Laurie to help him take him down. That's like, if they were going to do a town thing, I think that would have made more sense.
Yeah, like stack the weight from the first to the second to the third.
Build to it. And like with this, there was a line that Laurie says, anytime someone feels fear in this town, the boogeyman wins. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, sorry, Niamh. I think she means, like, by the boogeyman, she means Michael Myers. Does that make sense now?
That really sounds like weird terrorism, like
Yeah.
like gaslighting that they did in the mid 2000s.
It's so strange.
Yeah.
Like I was just completely disappointed. To me, this is one of the worst
You've been
Halloween
looking
movies.
forward to this for a long time.
Once 2018 ended and I heard this was going to be a trilogy, I was excited about this movie. Like last year when it got cancelled because of COVID, like
Yeah, it
I
is.
was so like, oh, so bummed out. Like, and I've like, I talk about my interest in Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and Kyle Richards, who was the little girl from the original movie, is back in this one. Her scenes are the best, by the way. Kyle does a really good job, but like, I was so ready for this movie, and it is genuinely, in my mind, one of the worst Halloween movies ever made. This is worse than Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers.
40 years ago.
With grief and fear for 40 years.
I remember him from 40 years ago.
It's not a good one.
It's not a good one. This is worse than Halloween Resurrection. This is a terrible movie.
There's one observation I wanted to make is that in the flashback in the 1970s where they have all the cops chasing Michael, one of the cop actors is Jim Cummings, the actor-director that also plays a cop in those two movies he made.
Oh, the wolf one that we watched?
Yeah, The Wolf of Snow Hollow
Yeah.
and the movie where he plays another cop who's not doing well after his mother's death. Because he's just like, he looks like a cop and he plays a cop actor. And it was just very funny to see him in a movie that he has no creative input in. And he's still fucking cast as a cop because he looks like a cop.
Oh, I'm so bummed with this.
Life is full of tiny tragedies.
I still remember kills from 2018, like the little boy who just wanted to dance more and wanted his dad to be like accept that he was going dancing.
That's the main scene I think of when I think of 2018.
Yeah, or the cop who wanted to eat his brownie. Like, there was these small moments that built to these characters. I think the most interesting characters in this one are the couple at the start with the drone couple.
Yeah.
And the gay Little John and Big John.
Yeah, okay, so John, there's a gay couple in this and they're fucking brilliant. They're both called John, so for ages one's going, hey Big John, and I'm like, I guess that's Big John. What's this guy called, Little John? Sure enough, he's called Little John.
That's pretty good.
And like their house, like because they live in the Myers house, they have redecorated it. It looks amazing. They have a cheese board. They have a TV that's up way too high on the wall, so they have to like look up at it. And they really tell a spooky story to those kids because those kids were messing around with razor blades, trick or treat, urban
pranks.
legend bullshit. Yeah,
Those kids were great as well in the scene with Kyle, where
they were really good.
She's like, you gotta run, and they're just like, this guy keeps peeking out from the trees, but we're like, not today, Satan. It was very funny. Like, that was the best scene.
I also like the kids in the flashback that are bullying on the kid, and then the cops come along and are like, you guys all okay? It's like, yeah, we're all friends. We're not bullying this one kid.
Those kids look crazy. The boy with the red hair looked like Chucky,
and
the two girls looked like a fucking, like, two murder girls from, like, The Shining or something. It was crazy.
But it was weird because, like, they're all dressed in Halloween costumes in 1978 for horror movies that were made afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, John,
Sounds like you guys had a terrific time.
It really sounds like our face is lighting up and you want to watch this movie. Like, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, but that where the real monsters line, like, that's one of my favorite cliches in movies, and just the fact that they actually say it, it's like,
well, like, they don't know what they're trying to say. There's no message. There's no idea in it. Michael's magic now, like at the end of like Halloween 6. Like, what is happening here?
Okay, guys, real quick, just on the subject of bad media, can I tell you how the 5th season of Riverdale ends?
Of course.
Okay.
Oh yeah, let's
this is
fucking
your
go.
chance to skip ahead like 1 minute to miss this. Okay, so you guys are familiar with the basic characters of Riverdale.
Oh yeah.
So basically, all the citizens of Riverdale take Hiram Lodge, and when I say all the citizens, I'm talking like maybe 20 or 30 named characters, all take Hiram Lodge, Veronica's evil billionaire father, to the edge of Riverdale, and each one of them has their individual weapon. Pop has his shotgun.
Yeah.
Jughead has his switchblade. Cheryl has her bow and arrow. Everyone has like their weapon, and they're like, start walking, Hiram Lodge. Get the fuck out of Riverdale. And Hiram's like, oh. And he just starts walking. Cut to the final scene. Betty and Veronica... No. Oh, I wish Betty and Veronica, that'd be way better. Betty and Archie are now a couple. Bughead, gone. Varchie, gone. And Betty and Veronica are like making out in...
No, they're not.
Betty and Archie are making out in Archie's bedroom, and then you just hear tick, 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 and Betty's like, Archie, what's that noise? And he's like, I don't know. Tick, tick, tick.
Is it a bomb?
They look under Archie's bed, and there's a bomb under there.
Holy shit.
Then we get an extremely wide shot of the town of Riverdale, and an explosion goes off. And then it pans to the side, and it's Hiram Lodge. And he goes, God. This is the last time you mess with me, Archie. Season 5 finish.
How did he manage to get the bomb under Archie's bed?
It's just that good.
He's just that good. Season 5 of Riverdale is fantastic. I am so disappointed in so many ways because Season 5 kicked off the weekend I posted my Riverdale video, and I didn't get to talk about the Power Rangers villains. I didn't get to talk about Cheryl's legitimate psychic magical abilities that are not like suggested, they are just real. I didn't get to talk about Hiram Lodge collapsing a mountain so it falls on top of Archie. It was just Season 5 Riverdale was a fucking joy, and I had a great time.
Well, I presume they're going to keep going, so maybe you have to do like an update every 4 seasons.
There's a 6th season is planned, so yeah, that fucking shit. Anyway, that wasn't even on my docket. I watched a bunch of anime because it's a new season of anime, and I would say most seasons of anime, I would really struggle to find 1 to 2 shows that I am really invested in. I'd say maybe it's like it's very rare. I have found 3 shows this season that I think are legitimately great so far, and I want to briefly talk about them. First one is Blue Period. This is an anime adaptation of a manga about a boy who's kind of like a soccer hooligan. He's in high school, and him and his friends go out at night and drink too much and watch soccer matches. And this entire story is about him discovering he really loves art.
Aw.
Cute.
Yeah, it's really cute, but it also has this real genuine appreciation for art in a way that I was really shocked to see. He has his art teacher, and she's a really, really great art teacher. She's more into teaching, there's stuff in it, she teaches things about perspective, and they show little lessons like that. He draws a crowd of people and he shows it to her, and she's like, oh, this is really cool, but if you draw these people bigger and these people smaller, now it has depth, and so there's little moments like that. But I really get the feeling that the person who drew this manga has this really intense love of art. And I say that, and it sounds kind of nearly dry, but the series isn't dry at all. There's this bit where he's watching a girl draw a still life. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but as she's drawing, her mouth kind of hangs open because she's concentrating that hard. And I've seen that so many times in life drawing, that expression. And it was so cool to see that in a manga.
That's really funny.
Just drawing and getting in the zone.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's this bit where he's I think sketching his mom, and he notices that her hands are all kind of gnarled and cut up or whatever, and it's from her working 2 jobs. And it's in that moment of intense observation, he has this flash of how much she does for him and how much he cares about her and how appreciative it is. And it's a really beautiful scene, and there's a lot. That's kind of the whole thing. This is other bit where he's out drinking at night, and he looks up at I think it's Osaka. Maybe I don't think actually it's somewhere around Tokyo, but it's 5 a.m. and he's really struck by how great how nice everything looks. And so he goes into his art class, and he's trying to capture that feeling, and he can't quite get it, but he ends up doing this just really simple but really lovely painting of just this blue Osaka skyline. And technically it's really basic, but it really has heart as well. It's actually this really kind of amateurish but passionate piece, and it's a fucking great show. I worry that by saying it's about a guy getting into art, it nearly sounds kind of dull, but I've watched 2 episodes of this, and I'm enthralled the entire 2 episodes.
I guess I always imagine that people who are interested in manga anyway, and I guess anime to a lesser extent, kind of have an appreciation for art to some capacity.
For sure.
Yeah.
But my feeling is a lot of the time you see that expressed as a passion for anime or manga. This is a passion for art, all art, and it's great. It's really good, and the characters are all really interesting in their own way. There's this really short girl in it, and she's an amazing artist, and it's really interesting how he interprets her work, and he kind of idolizes her and stuff, and it's class. It's just one of those anime where I watch it and I'm this isn't a good anime, this is just a good show. And I really hope it keeps up. The only criticism I would have is this is a very competent adaptation of the manga. It's not a very interesting adaptation. I think the pieces of art in it are depicted really well. They use like color really well, and like, you know, the paintings all look like paintings. Like that stuff is done really well. But in terms of like direction or using the camera in interesting ways, visually it never looks bad. There's no janky looking shots, but there's no shots either that really push a manga into a really strong anime adaptation. But I would really recommend this show to everyone. I think it's gonna absolutely fly under a lot of people's radars because like the premise isn't like anime exciting, but I had a great time with this, and I'm really excited to watch more. It made me like weirdly emotional about art a bunch of times.
I love getting emotional about art.
I know, and it's just it made me like I should draw more again, because it used to make me so happy, and I don't always create the time to do it. And I think any story, any piece of media that makes you consider your own shit on that level is great. And I hope a lot of people watch this. Bryan, tell me about Old Henry.
Old Henry is a Western, but I'd more so describe it as a frontier drama thriller. It stars Tim Blake Nelson, who is an American actor from Oklahoma who's been in supporting roles for like 3 decades. He's an actor you've seen in hundreds of things. He's Looking Glass in 2019 Watchmen. He's in a bunch of Coen Brothers movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? He's a real character actor who I would never consider a leading man actor. But in Old Henry, he plays the title role of Old Henry. And it's super cool to see an actor like that get center stage.
This is his second Western because he did the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yes, he did. And yeah. He was Buster Scruggs in that. He got his 10 minutes. He got his song. He did all right. I like ballads, but that's a weird film. Old Henry is about an old man who's very private, who lives in a mountain cabin with his son, and his son doesn't respect him. And it's the late 19th century. They encounter a horse that has
without a rider.
I've
seen this.
You've seen this well, yeah. Okay, so they encounter a horse without a rider. They go to rescue the person, and it's this whole thing about who can they trust, because they take home the person, but they have to like mend his wounds, but also lock him to the bed because he might be like a bank robber. He could be someone dangerous.
You can say it, Bryan. A ne'er-do-well.
Well, I'm not sure if I could say that, but anyway, these other guys show up who are led by Stephen Dorff, who was in True Detective Season 3, and he's fantastic in it. And they claim that they're sheriffs on the lookout for a man. They're on a manhunt, but Old Henry, he sees through that bullshit, and it becomes this kind of weird standoff. I think the whole film takes place over about 24 hours approximately.
Yeah, in kind of the one location.
Yeah, in the one like it's a very smartly made movie in that aspect. That, you know, it's a period piece, so they have to kind of be effective. And it was made during COVID regulation as well, and it has a very, very small cast, and it gets fucking violent towards the end. It's fucking good. I really, really enjoyed it. My only nitpick with it is that it has these like, here, idiot, here's a flashback that explains...
Yeah, it did that a lot.
And it's like, we don't need... I'd rather you'd left that implied or suggested, or maybe we could piece that together. You don't need to throw the jigsaw in my fucking face.
Especially since when you come to, like, there's a reveal in it, the character says it, you know? So it's like, I guess we didn't, you know, you didn't need that. And it's like, you see him having this dawning realization intercut with the flashback, and you're like... We get it. He's coming to a conclusion. Yeah. I really like this as well. I thought it was really great. Like, they really make use of that one little cabin. Yeah, they do. Where the father and the son is Moody from Little Fires Everywhere, John.
Yeah, he's really good in it.
Okay.
He's really good in it, and like, it's like he doesn't respect his dad, but he doesn't respect his dad for kind of a good reason. His dad kind of freezes him out because his dad clearly has this history where he's like, he had like run-ins with the law, so he won't
And he's a really, really skilled gunslinger.
Yeah,
like, unreal.
He won't teach his son how to shoot a gun, and this is cowboy times. That's like weird. So like,
It's like not teaching your son karate.
yeah, it's just not acceptable.
Like, what the fuck?
So like Moody's like, I'm the only boy for miles around who doesn't know how to shoot a gun, and you won't tell me why. And like his son is really frustrated with him. He was just like, is this all you've ever wanted to be? This like lame farmer? And like Moody's just like, I'm gonna leave once I get a chance to get out of here. But then it really like it ramps up slowly but so effectively, where Moody starts to see the truth of his dad, because his dad, in his like goal to protect the house and him, just he transforms.
Yeah, the bit where old Henry goes into berserker mode, it's fucking worth it.
Pretty much.
This sounds class.
It is. It's a really good film. It's like watching Red Dead, where someone knows how to play the game and just like checklists every bit of a complicated mission. Because it's just like the bit where because like there's like 10 dudes on horses with guns, and he just like quick draws and it's got such good editing and timing during that bit as well. Like, it's a very handsome movie.
Yeah.
Considering it's so grisly.
A handsome movie. I like that.
It's shot in Tennessee, but it's meant to be Oklahoma, because I think Oklahoma was the kind of last place to be kind of like where you could live maybe lawlessly, kind of like that. I don't know, settle like the way he did.
It's the very center of America. Like, it's the furthest point away from any like ocean.
But like a lot of westerns, because it's all this land and stuff, it's very pretty looking. There's a shot at night where like there's a gunfight, but there's also lightning happening, and that's like really cool.
Sounds great.
I do really like all the designs of the outlaws as well. I love the Mexican guy. I love his big long coat.
Yeah.
He looks like a really creepy priest. He's in kind of like this like beige, creamy color. Like they really look like weird relics of the past that they're spooky.
It was good. It was really surprisingly good. Like, I like a good Western. I put that on and I was just like, oh, this is a good one. And it comes in at a neat, like, hour and a half around that as well.
Yeah,
Say no more.
It's really, really
Hell
short.
Yeah, so it's not like, you know, the assassination of Jesse James, which is like fucking like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
Is that worth it?
I love that movie. I think it's great. It's gorgeous looking. So much of Red Dead is based on it.
It's a fucking epic.
I do
Like,
really
it's so
like
good.
westerns. It's just a lot of them are like really long like that.
Like this is a very small focus story. Like, this doesn't feel like a big giant adventure. This is just like an old man does one last thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good genre of movie.
Yeah.
Cool. Guys, I also watched Komi-san Can't Communicate.
Oh dear. Why? Why Komi-san?
Because she's too shy, Brian.
Jesus Christ.
Yep.
We're all shy.
This is the most like anime of the three I watched by far. This dude starts at new high school, meets a super beautiful girl, but gosh darn it, she's too shy to speak to anyone. And he basically realizes that she's actually like really nice. Everyone's like super intimidated by her, but she's really sound, but she's just scared to talk to people. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna make you help I'm gonna help you make 100 friends. And that's the premise. Not a great premise, I don't think. Like, it's just,
who needs 100 friends?
That sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
I have
Aim for like 2.
Two's good. Two's good. Sometimes when I feel someone trying to make friends with me now, I'm kind of like, you know, like, just
Shut up.
come on, like, let's not. I'm just gonna disappoint you. Let's not do this.
I'm busy. being shit.
I feel like I say it, and like it's a very super anime. The execution of this is great. The art style is like it is anime, but it's very distinctive at the same time. Like, you would never confuse a still of this show for another show, or at least particular characters anyway. Like the girl in a Komi, like, she is so angular and weird looking. Like, she looks kind of strange, but in a way that's kind of cool. What really sold me on this is kind of just like the opposite of what I was saying with Blue Period. The strength of the adaptation here is fucking crazy. Like, not a lot of wild stuff happens in the first episode. It's basically like they meet, they hang out for a bit, and they draw on a like They draw on a blackboard. Did you look up the design?
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like a mysterious cat.
I think it's really hard to make like anime school children look interesting, but this really like it's really cool. Like I like her hair. I like his look as well. It's realistic-ish but stylized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
and
it looks cartoony too. That's kind of endearing.
Yeah, and the anime, I don't know, are you looking at the manga or the...
Anime is coming up for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
And some of the manga.
The anime like really does a great job of like making those characters move. Like there's one bit where like the joke is she turns around and walks away because she feels awkward, and it's like it could work, but her stupid stilted walk cycle is fucking hilarious. And like this is kind of something I love about this. She is this super beautiful girl. They frequently animate her like an idiot. And, you don't see that a lot with, like, anime. It's like you might get, like, a chibi girl, but you very rarely get them, like, animating with female characters in these really goofy ways. And this girl is constantly being animated to look really silly, and it's super endearing, I think it's part of what really brings the premise, like, past what it is on paper. The editing and, like, just general way one shot leads into another and characters move, it is way closer to, like, a Kill la Kill than it would be... your standard high school anime. It looks fantastic. There's a real energy to every encounter, and that helps like the like awkwardness of it come through, but also the kind of endearing part of it as well. But I've only watched one episode of this, so I can't guarantee. Like most anime put a lot of work into the first episode and it mellows out after that. But something that has me really intrigued to watch the second episode is there's this kind of reveal at the end of the first episode that this is like a special school where like you have to have a particular talent to get in. So it's that kind of like Danganronpa thing or Kill la Kill thing, where it's like this is a student body full of absolute weirdos.
Gifted students.
Yeah, exactly. And like normally that would just be kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. But considering it's this girl's job or that she wants to make friends with these weirdos, that adds this whole other dynamic that I'm really excited to see how it plays out. And this is a really strong first episode. Like I felt like watching this first episode was like watching a 20-minute movie. Like it really felt like it had its kind of arc, and it was a lot of fun. And so I don't know that it's going to stay good past the first episode, but I've really, really enjoyed it so far. Niamh, the Orange County.
I'm rewatching the OC.
I've wanted to, like, to me, you watch that as a kid and then you think back to it and it's like, was that real?
Was that real? What happened? Was Ryan really a bad boy? The answer is no, he's actually just lovely.
But he's from Chino. Ew.
So I started watching the OC. I was watching Succession and I found it so boring that I started looking.
I watched the first episode of that and bounced so hard off.
People fucking love that show, and like,
I know.
and like each time that show ends, it's like this big event, and I'm like, that's what Game of Thrones must have looked like to people who didn't give a shit about Game of Thrones.
Now that theme music.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They really want Daddy's kiss.
But the OC, Sandy, I want Sandy's kiss.
Definitely.
Sandy was such a hunk. Oh my god.
Like he can wrap those eyebrows around me and I will just get lost in them like Velcro.
There was just the last episode I watched, there was a joke about his big eyebrows. And he was just like, they're my source of my power.
Do you know one problem with Sandy though?
What?
That I always had? There is a point where he's talking about Seth's mom. What's her name?
Kirsten.
And he's like, your mother? Not a funny woman. Not funny at all. And I always feel like, could you marry someone whose like humor you didn't enjoy?
In fairness, Kirsten is not funny.
That's why I wouldn't marry her.
She's very dry, but she's also like
But dry can be funny.
I guess like maybe she makes him laugh because of her not being funny. You know what I mean?
I guess that could work. But yeah,
opposites attract.
Yeah, but like I think in various ways we are all opposites to our partners, but I would describe all our partners as pretty fucking hilarious.
In the mid-2000s, a young man named McG penned a show called The OC.
McG?
That's the name of the creator.
I thought it was like Joshua Schwartz or
No,
Josh
it's
Schwartz.
McG. He also did Charlie's Angels too, Full Throttle.
I think it's not like him.
Mick G is a creative
Bryan, you're about to
contributor.
lose all your cred. Oh my god.
The OC.
This is so embarrassing to watch.
Okay, so it says Josh Schwartz. Holy shit.
Oh my
But then
God.
where's Mick G? Executive producer Mick G.
Okay.
This is
There
really
we go.
sad. It's like watching Superman lose his power.
No,
Bryan,
no.
what do you have to say for yourself? Sorry, Niamh, just shut the fuck up for 1 second, okay?
I guess I confused showrunner with executive producer.
Don't ever do that again.
It's bad at television.
Niamh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I was just like, wait, no, I read that today.
I'm so sorry, Seth, because Seth would be disappointed.
So I originally watched this when I was 15, and this was like, you know, Ireland didn't have like broadband at this stage, or at least I didn't in the country. And my idea of America was the OC.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it had the jocks, it had like the cheerleaders, it had the rich kids and the poor kids. Like, it was this like really... This is an outside person's idea of what America was in 2003 when this aired.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to go back to it now, because I was like, I know what America's like now, for example. I was like, will this hold up? Will this just be like awful and weirdly misogynist and offensive in that early 2000s way that like a lot of things are that you go back to it? And I'm happy to report, no, the OC is still brilliant. Like, it's still really great.
Yeah. I remember watching the OC first and just being like, this is like the perfect life. like, and it wasn't just any one aspect. Everyone was super beautiful. Their homes were amazing. Their parents were really cool. Yeah.
So if you don't know the story of the OC, Ryan, a kid from Chino who comes from a working class background, his mom is in a relationship with kind of this deadbeat dude who's like basically it beats Ryan up, and Ryan gets arrested for stealing car with his older brother. His brother has priors, so his brother ends up in jail, but Ryan meets a public defender called Sandy Cohen. Sandy sees himself in Ryan because Sandy is not from the OC area, and he kind of takes Ryan home for a night, and it's really like adopting a dog. Like,
Yeah.
Ryan has these big like he's like big dark eyes and this sad look to him consistently, and Sandy's like, I want to keep him. And Kirsten's like, no, he's a criminal. We can't have him in our house. And their nerdy incel son, Seth, and he is like totally an incel in the pilot episode, but like they drop that kind of stuff for ages. Like, he starts negging Marissa about her listening to shitty music compared to him and stuff.
Yeah.
But they drop that, and Seth becomes nice very quickly, like 3 episodes in. Seth's all like, I don't have friends. Buy me a friend, mommy and daddy.
That's a normal thing to say.
Let me keep this boy.
I want this brother friend.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a back and forth, and so much happens in one episode. Like, these are dense. Like, this isn't a thing where they like lay something
There's
down.
so many fights in the first episode.
Yeah, like so much shit happens. And they finally end up adopting Ryan, and it's very like kind of blasé. Like, Kirsten and Sandy do appear in like pantsuits, and they're just like, we're here in our suits to tell you we're adopting you. But like, they do make jokes kind of like Ryan is this adopted dog. Like, Seth makes a joke of him making a mess on the carpet and stuff like that. So it's like this weird parallel. Ryan is they're all meant to be teenagers. He's played by Ben McKenzie, who I think is in Gotham now or something.
He is. He plays Commissioner Gordon in Gotham.
At the time of filming this, Ben McKenzie was 25, and he's playing a 17-year-old. And he looks it. Like, he does. Episode
He's big,
1.
and like he's hit second puberty because his shoulders grew out.
He's like a big dude. He has like, he just looks like an older guy. He looks 25.
People don't talk about second puberty enough. No one tells you.
No.
Seth, played by Adam Brody, was 23 at the time of filming, and also looks a bit more like a teenager because he's kind of more willowy.
Yeah, he's lean.
Summer, played by Rachel Bilson, was 21 at the time of filming, and she looks really young. You would assume she was a teenager. And poor Misha Barton, who plays Marissa Cooper, is 17 at the time of filming this.
Oh my god.
And her romance is with Ryan, so like there is some scenes where like she just like looks so young and you're just like, oh god,
That's weird.
but Ryan, like it's so like Christian side hug, like nothing happens for
I
so
haven't thought
long.
a Christian side hug in a long time.
They're always wearing white as well. It really does feel like
Oh, the fashion is so crazy looking. It's so
Yeah.
like low cropped jeans.
Oh my God,
and, like,
yeah,
capri
yeah.
pants and just like
so many belly buttons.
The writer of this show, and the showrunner, Josh Schwartz, was 25 when he wrote it, and you can tell because like it feels like what teenagers would do. It was like it's amped up to 100, but like, you know, Marissa is going to get put into a institution because she has an overdose. And their plan is to kidnap her and run away with her. You know, it's like friends looking out for each other in like kind of silly, over the top ways. So it kind of feels young. Like they feel realistic characters despite being played by 25-year-olds.
They have a misguided energy.
I cut
Yeah.
up a few episodes of like teen drama stuff for the Riverdale video, and I cut up like Gossip Girl, OC, and Dawson's Creek, and it was interesting because like going through Gossip Girl and Dawson's Creek, it was a lot of like, I would say, very poetic, ideologized things of what being a teenager was, and the OC was the only one which was like, here's a shot of Seth and Ryan playing PlayStation.
Yeah, they play a lot of Dynasty Warriors, I think.
Hell yeah! Oh my god, that's really cool.
It's the best game engine.
And like it's really funny because all the cereal boxes they have like Rugrats on it and stuff, and it's just like really cool to see these like artifacts.
So this is turned into a time capsule.
Yeah,
This
of
is now a
2003.
period piece.
Exactly.
That sounds rad.
But it's like not one of those period pieces where you cringe. Like there's a few like they throw out like a few slurs here and there, but like it's from the bully, so it seems, you know, it's warranted.
He's a bigot. The world's not a bigot.
Yeah, but Luke actually is a really complex character because like when you first like meet him, he's like Ryan's like foil for Marissa's heart kind of thing, but they call him Abercrombie because he's like this really good looking guy and he's the jock, he's like the guy in the football team. And him and Ryan fight, and he's insulting Ryan from being from Chino and being from like working class background, and he actually has way more depth to him to this point where it's kind of Marissa kind of fucks him over a lot because she's not brave enough to break up with him.
Marissa's a disaster.
Yeah, she kind of is.
That is a big thing with this kind of show. There was always a Vegeta, and he always turns into the most interesting character. Chuck Bass and Gossip Girl, same thing.
Just gets super humbled.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like he has a fight with Ryan where Ryan is staying in one of Kirsten's like developments where it's like it's a model home. So, and a fire starts in it and like they're fighting over Marissa, but like Luke carries him out so he doesn't get hurt, and like Luke he ends up putting himself in a lot of danger to help people and like does a lot of cool things where you think Luke is going to be the foil. He'll be like, I'll cover for you guys, you know? And he's like has surprising depth to him, which I guess I did not see as a 15-year-old. You know what I mean? He
that
was
sounds
just
cool though.
Yeah, and like,
I would love to be a bully and save the person I bully from a burning house and be like, I only did that so I can kick your butt later.
yeah, it has that vibe to it, you know? And there's some really like hilarious moments, like, well, not hilarious. There's a moment where Ryan picks Marissa up because she's overdosed, which sad, but it is framed in such a like pieta, like Ryan's holding her, the camera slow motion, like he may as well sprout angel wings at that moment. It's like,
And maybe he should have.
I would have done it.
Okay, so how many... Because it's like once or twice per season, there is a slow motion, no dialogue song centerpiece moment.
As something tragic happens.
And like they released so many soundtracks that had like original artists.
Oh, I think the OC like launched Imogen Heap's career.
Yeah.
That was anime music videos, John.
And like the Shins got super popular
first
because the Shins were an Irish indie band, but they were on the OC.
Oh my god, I remember all these scenes from the OC where it's like, hey, what's this band called? And it's like, The Killers. And it's just the Killers playing in this like teenage club.
In the first 2 episodes, they make 2 digs at Avril Lavigne, just like unprompted. And I was like, oh, cold, OC.
Would Avril Lavigne not have been replaced at this point?
I think she would have definitely fallen out of favor, like Marissa's negging.
No, Niamh, come on, we can talk. Was she replaced or wasn't she?
Oh, you mean the Brazilian conspiracy theory?
They can't all be theories, okay? Like some of them have. Sorry.
She's an android, but
or her best friend Alyssa.
People are so fucking weird. It's really interesting. We're getting into stuff with the parents now.
Sorry. The Thrills were the Irish band.
Yes.
And they personally make an appearance in this show.
I haven't thought of the Thrills in like
what season is that?
15 years.
I think the Thrills are in season 2 or 3. They're definitely not in the first season. The Thrills were an Irish band, but they pretended they were from San Francisco. And the Arctic Monkeys have a song called Fake Tales from San Francisco, and it's about them. And it's
Why would
such
you
a
do
dig.
that?
But like they were from the early 2000s, but their aesthetic was that they were like from the 70s from America, but they were from like Galway or some shit.
Yeah. The Thrills would have shown up on Crying and stuff. Oh man, that was still peak of music. Early 2000s Crying.
The song Say It Ain't So appeared on US President George W. Bush's iPod in 2005. That's some interesting facts
Why
about
do people know that?
about the Thrills.
Every American president, they do like a iPod analysis, and it's like this super curated. For Barack Obama, like they had a lot of hip hop stuff, and they had a lot of like really cool hip hop artists, but they had taken out all tracks that referenced like black nationalism, and it was just really stupid.
I did not know this.
There
Does
were-
Trump and Biden have a playlist?
Probably,
They
but
probably
who fucking gives a shit?
I'm sure. Well, Biden likes new radicals. It's really hard to karaoke that song because the lyrics are kind of muffled. I can also remember George Bush really liked The Darkness. Do you remember them?
Yes.
Fake Queen.
I could never understand how people loved them so much, but they were the biggest thing ever. For
They had
like
a lot
year.
of fun on those guitars, but I think they were like a joke band that rode the joke all the way to the bank.
But I think they were a joke band that people took really seriously.
Even though like they were a fucking gimmick, but it worked.
He used to write jingles first, wasn't that it?
Yeah, he did.
I mean, like, in fairness, that dude was like giving it socks. Like he was putting his all into that. I'd probably appreciate them more now.
And like he wore a cool catsuit with the V all the way down to the groin, with like the chest hair, and they all looked like caricatures of a begotten era. The OC.
So those see.
Yeah.
It honestly holds up. I'm like 7 episodes into season 1, which I think has 26 episodes because it was 2000s TV.
Yeah,
where
it was-
everything
yeah, it
Can
was
I
a
ask
lot.
you a very particular question?
Yeah. It's
the
Is
pre-writer
this a
strike.
cozy watch?
Yes, it's definitely a cozy watch. A lot of dramatic stuff happens, and a lot of stuff that's kind of like a little fucked. Like, oh god,
So many drug overdoses.
So like, exactly. But I've been watching a lot of Real Housewives, and there's a storyline in that happened where one of the characters, Taylor's husband, is basically embezzling money and. And you're just like, this. Of course, these rich people are doing that kind of shit. There's a storyline in this where Jimmy Cooper, the neighbors to the Coens, is embezzling money and stole $4 million from everyone else in the area, and his wife Julie is divorcing him over it. But also, Kirsten has a thing with Jimmy. It's like the interconnected politics of the town come up very early, and you can see them spreading out, and it's really interesting.
That is cool.
But also
a little
knowing,
micro-universe.
Yeah, but also knowing what I know of like Beverly Hills now through these TV shows and these fucking crazy rich people who are just insane. It's just like, I've seen these houses before. I've seen these parties. And like Kristen is so down to earth, but she's like a stinking rich like person. Like it's just unbelievable, but she's just like, it's not a big deal. I'm not like these other women. And she has these
You're all
parties
vapid.
where all these women come over and throw like, charity balls, which like happens all the time in Beverly Hills. And I'm starting to see what this is based on now, because when I watched this as a kid, I was like, I guess this is America.
Just normal America stuff.
Yeah, but now I'm seeing who they're kind of... It's weird because it's set in the OC in this rich people world, and there's a lot of like forgiveness to them, but there's also a lot of small digs towards them and their life as well, which is interesting.
A more nuanced take than you'd you'd think, I would say.
It's way more tongue-in-cheek with its humor. Its
Right,
humor can be
okay.
biting in a way that you wouldn't expect. It would come out of it, like, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and you're like, holy shit, that's like, they made the comment that, like, you might be thinking in your head, someone might say it, and it might be a burn. Like, Ryan at one stage when he punches Luke, he goes like, you know what I like about rich kids, and he punches him and he goes, nothing. But then, like, Ryan goes back and he's like, integrated into this rich world with Seth and all of this. So he kind of has these moments of lashing out against it, but it's also being integrated into it.
After that ended, all the MTV spin-offs came, but then other TV channels did their adaptations of spin-offs. And it's just weird to see it kind of all feed in, and it still exists, but just in a different form.
Yeah, and like if this is like the progenitor, like the mothership of it, you can it's like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You can see where everything came from, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're watching Phantom Blood and you're like, there's the vampire.
But it's so good you understand why everything sprung out of this well kind of thing.
Totally.
But yeah, definitely worth the rewatch. If you've never seen the OC, like, you were in for a treat. It's just kind of hilariously 2003.
That's great.
So far, I'm only halfway through season 1. It could get awful.
And maybe it will. Brian,
Yes.
Boys Run Riot.
I've read the first 3 volumes of a manga called Boys Run the Riot. It's very good. It's about a group of teenagers, the main of which is a trans boy, and he befriends the, I guess, other outcast in his classroom because the main character kind of keeps to himself. He kind of sees him as an outsider, sees himself as an outsider because he's trans, and he keeps it to himself as well. And he meets another outsider who's a year older than everyone else in the class, and he has a bit of a beard, and he looks like trouble. But the two of them decide
into the forbidden ground of manhood.
But the two of them decide to launch, and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. They decide to launch their own streetwear brand. And they're super into pop-up shops and hype culture, and as someone who wears Bape, fucking sold. Oh, I'm so into it.
As someone who wears Bape.
Yeah.
It's true.
I'm not wearing knockoffs either.
Yep.
I'm fucking fresh. I'm legit.
I have seen Brian's Supreme hat.
It's real.
Yeah.
So the protagonist is, I think he's like 16, 17 years old. He's transgender. He's trying to figure himself out. And the author, I actually don't want to get the author's name because the author is a trans man as well. And his name is Keito Gaku. And some of it is based on his personal experience. Some of it is just his interest in streetwear. But I guess the streetwear kind of comes into it because it's just about, you know, the clothes you wear representing you on the outside and making clothes that he would be comfortable wearing that represent him. And that's kind of where they come up with the brand name Boys Run the Riot, because that's the name of their streetwear brand. They're kind of the misfits in the class, but they end up befriending other misfits. There's a photography student, and he ends up being their main photographer for any of their photo shoots when they do a fashion drop. But very quickly it kind of goes into like the social media aspect of their brand, and them learning how to run social media and how to get like a new piece of apparel out and how to get customers excited about it.
God, it's crazy. Like, this stuff has been around forever, but like the manga and anime industry are usually so slow to adapt new ideas. It's crazy to hear like a manga about this.
Yeah. The first 3 volumes are out, and like some arcs are slower than others, but like when it's good, it's fucking brilliant.
That's cool. It's like anime and manga can be so granular about sports and getting into the gritty details about what shoe is the best. So like, yeah, getting into social media branding of like capsule drops is really cool.
But there's so little stuff that covers that.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying it. As I said, the first 3 volumes are out, and they're very, very good translations, and they have a lot of like footnotes to explain stuff, which I appreciate. And they explain learning about transgender or being transgender in Japan is very different to the West, and they use different terms there than they would use here. So they are factually correct, even if they're not socially correct in the English vernacular. But it's all based on like 1-to-1 accurate research in the current decade we are in.
I think like fashion and clothes are so important with like identity and just like kind of gender euphoria and just feeling like yourself. Like it's like it feels very authentic. Like that seems really cool.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And there's some stuff about like characters getting publicly outed and the feedback from that. And there's a bit where like the character gets outed and a big group of people are all like, that's so cool, that's amazing. But then there's one person off in the distance kind of laughing, and they hone in on that and worry about that, which is probably like a very realistic way that like, even though like 99% of the people are celebrating, you're anxious and worried about that 1%, and it's just getting at you and digging at you. And it's that fear, which I thought was
definitely social media in a big way.
Which I thought was super interesting and like extremely like I like to me I got it. And the other character in it, who is like the weird older guy, his whole like shtick is he's like, I don't understand, I don't know your experience, but please help me to help you. And he's just a bro.
That's nice. I think like if more people were like, I don't get it, but I want you to be happy and I want to support you like in any way I can, like that would make such a huge difference. Like,
yeah,
you know,
like I don't think any good can come from pretending to like get stuff.
Yeah,
because like there's a bunch of different aspects that I get.
It's a lived experience that you can only understand if you've lived.
Yeah.
Here's my question, Brian. Are the streetwear, is it good? Is it good streetwear? Does it look good?
They do very cool ideas with the t-shirts where there's a logo on the chest, but then you lift up the sleeve up here, there's a secret message on the sleeve of the arm.
Nice.
And there's graffiti tags. They look fucking hot.
I would really love for this to get big and to get some clothes like out of it. That would be such a cool place
some
for
real
this to
drops,
go.
yeah.
To get like even a shirt that was created like in universe to become a real like shirt drop would be awesome.
Like in Devil May Cry when they had those like $5,000 jackets.
Well, maybe not quite like that.
That was fucking ridiculous.
Brian, that sounds great.
It's very good. It's very it exists out there in the wild. You can read it. Boys run the riot.
Whew, I feel like this has been a long strategy talk. What time are we at?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Ranking of Kings.
I watched this. Fucking brilliant.
Okay, so I had my eye on this show for a while. Saw some trailers a couple of months back. Thought it looked really cool. Very excited about it. Sat down and watched it. This is an anime show, and this does not look like an anime. This looks like a Western storybook nearly.
Yeah, it looks closer to the Moomins. Like, and I know the Moomins was partially animated in Japan, but it feels European.
It has a really European feel, and it's about this little prince. And you very quickly learn that this little prince is he is deaf and mute. He can't hear and he can't speak. And immediately I was like, well, that is interesting, because I can think of one other anime where they have a deaf protagonist, and it's Gangster or Gangsters, and which is kind of a pretty trashy but pretty fun show. There's a lot of very attractive men in that show. But this is basically like this little kid, and everyone is saying to him, "You are too small and stupid to be king." And he can't even really talk back to people. He has to have someone sign that to him. And the sign language looks authentic to me. I can't speak to whether it actually is or not. But a lot of this show is like about the harsh realities of this kid apparently not having what it takes to be king, but him kind of learning to overcome it anyway. And this is a fantasy thing. One of the first people we meet is this... I can't remember his name. It's something like Mochi or something, but he's basically this little like slime on the ground, and he's part of the shadow people, and he's basically like a little shadow. He's a person. Everyone treats him like a human, a despised human, but he's not like a monster. He's just part of the shadow clan.
He's like a shape-shifting symbol that has a few primary antennae and limbs.
He looks like two circles connected with two eyes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he has like a weird little antenna mouth thing. But he basically meets this little deaf prince, and he's like, "Bring me all your clothes and money." And the little deaf prince like shows up the next day wearing all like 20 outfits so he can give them all.
And he waddles into shot.
It's so cute. And you kind of... learned kind of through this that basically this little prince is in line to become the next king, but he's so small and weak that no one thinks he can do it, including his own dad, who's a really nice guy, but is also like this giant who's dying, and it's sad. But then at the end, it's really endearing, and like they really, like, they make you give a shit about this little prince so much. Like by the end of the first episode, my heart was fucking breaking for this kid. Like, there's one point where he goes indoors after, like, you know, he takes it all on the chin. He's like really good natured and he's really happy. He can't really respond to anyone.
But he's smiling all the time and he's staring forward.
Yeah, and then he goes into like his room by himself and he just breaks down and starts crying.
Aww.
And it's heartbreaking.
Not to be too weird about it, but I'm looking at pictures here. Who's the snobby blonde queen?
That's
you answered your own question.
Okay.
She's so the king remarried after his first wife died, because his first wife was a giant queen, and you see, and so so the second born prince is with her, and she has a pointy nose, and her son has a pointy nose, and he's more kind of suitable.
Yeah, he's a much more suited king.
Yes,
and the first episode ends with the second son, who's really good at swordsmanship, fighting the first son in a duel, and he takes a swing at him, and the little deaf prince dodges. And it's like, have you watched the second episode, Brian?
I can't find it anywhere. Is it there?
Oh yeah, it's out.
Okay, I must watch it.
The second episode broke me over its knee. I nearly fucking cried. It was so brilliant and upsetting, and like 80% of the second episode is the backstory of the little shadow.
Brilliant.
And that little fucker's been through a lot.
Of course he does. He hates people.
If you cannot tell, I love this show so far. It's really, like, the first episode sets such a high bar, and I think the second episode surpassed it. The animation's beautiful. There's this little bit where one of the characters, he like has a little wooden sword, and he kind of does just this little circular motion, and they do this tiny little circular streak on the sword. It has all this little detail that, like, there's no justifiable reason to do. The animation studio, like the animator who did that, I can't imagine that anyone was like, we should do this, it'll look really cool. But just the person doing it was like, this is going to look fucking cool, and this is going to take long because it's a slow movement, and that's the hardest shit in animation. And they just did it. And it's
got really, really nice ending tiles as well. Lovely artwork where it doesn't have the outlines on the characters. It looks more like concept art or like a children's book illustration, but it kind of fits with the kind of bedtime story aspect of it.
Totally. And when this show needs to be funny, it makes me laugh. When this show needs to be sad, it makes me cry. And it does them both exceptionally. And I would really have no trouble at all recommending this to just about anyone. It's so good. And I'm really excited to see where it goes. I really hope it can keep up this momentum. Because if it does, you can put this in the, like, Mob Psycho 100 drawer of, see, modern anime is still good. I loved it, and I cannot wait to watch more of it. I feel hopeful about anime again. Like, the 3 shows I've talked about so far are so strong. There's another fucking thing about some monsters who don't like music and the people who fight them. That's fine. Madhouse did it. It looks really nice. There's a girl in it who's going to make a nice figure at some point. But these 3 shows, brilliant.
Yeah.
Ranking of Kings.
I'd recommend any of the series I've talked about. Komi-san is on Netflix. Ranking of Kings is on Crunchyroll, I think, and Blue Period is on Netflix as well. Check them out. There, I promise, what I have watched is good. Strategy talk.
You ready for the fucking video game section?
Ready for some motherfucking video games?
We are
Niamh,
90 minutes into
what's
this.
What's your most hardcore, like, video game voice you can do?
Oh shit.
Brian, there's a lot of pressure on Niamh, so what we'll do is we'll both be perfectly silent until she's able to do it.
And here's Niamh.
Do you want to watch some fucking video games?
Whoa!
There we go.
Whoa!
Wait, play. You gotta play those.
I think Little P came out, I think.
Oh, I shot myself.
Oh, fuck, okay. Well,
Gotta play some games,
Brian,
kids.
Niamh, please stop it.
I did a number
can't
1,
handle
I
this.
did a number 2, I did a number 3, it's
can't-
all out.
I can't handle Omega Niamh. True gamer Niamh.
Yeah, that hurts.
A hated gamer moment.
Niamh's gone into snort laughter.
Gonna frag some noobs. Gonna teabag your dad.
I love teabagging in games. And Rebecca always gets really mad at me. She's like, don't do that. That's really crude.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no.
I'm gonna bunny hop all over your mom's tits.
No, that's something a gamer.
That's an elite gamer move. Don't try that.
And like the dude saying it is like 13, and you're like, shit, he could do that. He has potential. He's really good at CS.
Stop.
It's gonna remind we are 90 minutes into this episode, and it doesn't
Let's
matter.
let it finish, Brian.
Okay, I'm done. Brian, you're making me laugh way too much this episode.
No, it's really funny though, because we're just so stupid.
Oh, God. We've really terrible senses of humor.
We're adults. Like, we pay enough taxes
I'm
that.
crying.
When people listen to this. So I beat Deathloop.
Good game?
I think so. Like, it's weird. Because, like, Deathloop to me is like, it's a fun arcadey shooter that is ever. Okay, Niamh, you clearly have more to get out.
No, I'm done.
You sure? It's okay.
No, I'm done. I'm definitely done.
Brian, say like a funny word.
No.
Boner.
No, don't. You just make me laugh all night.
Brian did make me laugh so hard once that I passed out. Like, that's a thing that happened in front of a room full of people.
Yeah.
I thought about it more, and eventually I realized that that's kind of like Brian beating me in a fight, and I got really sad.
I knocked you out.
You knocked me out, Brian.
Okay, no.
Deathloop. Yeah, look, my opinion of this game has not advanced a whole lot since last time. I think Deathloop is a fun arcadey shooter that absolutely does not fulfill a lot of the really interesting things it kind of sets out to do. I had to try that final run like 4 times, where you start at this beginning of the day and go through it and kill everyone. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. I thought it provided a level of difficulty the rest of the game did not. And that was cool. At the end of the run, they give you this binary choice of like, do you want to make decision A or decision B? I made decision A, and it was like, cool, I guess you're not going to break the loop. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to do that last fucking day again. And it was just, why give me a choice? Like, what was the point in that? Like, what did that do for your story? I think if you're going to give someone a choice, it should have meaning. You know, it should make them reflect. But like, this scene, the end scene of Deathloop is pretty much like nothing. You know, it's like there is no payoff. I still have several questions about the plot and like certain characters' motivations that honestly are probably in there, but like I'm not going back in to find out, and like I don't even care enough to read a wiki. So to me, I think Deathloop's a good game. I enjoyed it. It's like it passed a bunch of hours for me. Like, I beat a first person shooter, which does not happen often. Kind of hard not to feel the ghost of what they probably wanted this game to be at some point. It is hard not to feel the blueprints of what this game could have been, and it is not that game at all. So I give it a kind of shaky. Yeah, you know, it's pretty good. It's a weird one for people like you, Niamh, who are super disappointed with it. I 100% get it. If I was a fan of arcade going into this game and seeing it become what it was, because like I do feel like with the hype cycle of Deathloop as well, people were super amped up about it that first week, and then I think when people really got their teeth into it and realized that it's basically time splitters,
Yeah.
it's sort of a bummer.
Yeah, I felt like bad after the last conversation we had in the podcast because I felt like I went from so high to so low, and I was just like, I don't feel like I'm down at that bottom anymore, but I'm definitely not near that top. I've like, you know,
Think you're gonna beat it? Like I found the last day, like that last run, I found that really satisfying.
I started doing it and I like nearly finished it, but then I was like, ugh. I was like, I'm so like my motivation for that game is just not there, especially because other games that I'm more interested in have come out as well.
Niamh has now lent the game to me.
I've given it to Bryan,
so I'm gonna play it during November, and we'll see.
Niamh, when you get to that final choice, you're not gonna want to do it because you're gonna be like me in that regard. Just do it. Just trust me.
I know, but I hate that in a game as well, where you're just like, oh, I'll pick the thing I don't want to pick because it'll probably have a more interesting ending.
It didn't have a more interesting ending. It just let me get closure on that game because it's basically one option, don't do the thing that you've been trying to do this whole game. The other option, do the thing.
So one's like the incorrect ending and one's it's like a correct and incorrect ending.
Like, to be honest with you, I actually prefer the ending where you don't do the thing because it's a little more fun, but they're both like nothing.
I find that like really uninteresting to have like you're set on a path, you have a goal to achieve, and then by the end of it they're just like, or you could not do the thing you've been working towards. And I'm kind of feel like you've expended so much time and energy that even by the time towards the end where you're like, maybe this is wrong, it's kind of like you really have to make a convincing argument, or you really have to show me something interesting for me to go off my path at that stage.
Yeah.
Because they did that with like Life is Strange, where they were just like...
I was going to say that because like one of those is a 2-minute ending and the other is a 10-minute ending. Yeah. And... the 10-minute ending is the choice you don't want to make.
Well, if it helps, both the endings of Deathloop are like 30 seconds.
Wow.
But just do the thing. Just break the loop, because the other... like, I was given real... I guess I'm going to play another hour of this, because, but anyway. Real quick, I continue to play Judgment 2. My opinion has not changed at all. That game... it is like lowering myself into a vat of warm, comforting syrup. I just play it. I am happy. It does not challenge me in any particular way. It does not show me new concepts, but everything in it is great. I went to the school at night and the like inside out science dummy was running around, and I was like, well, time to figure out this mystery. 20 minutes later, I figured out the mystery. I was satisfied. I joined a ninja gym. I helped them fight the other ninja gym. It was fun and silly. I like that game a lot. It feels good to beat the shit out of school children. Next topic. I don't know, it has become my comfort game, and I am so fond of it.
I thought the like moveset you have against the kids was like all defensive, so you weren't
parry.
like beating the shit out of them.
I think at some point that was the idea.
Okay.
But you can just wail on a child.
Okay.
Yeah. They do have like heat attacks, which is like he will do this big wind up and like punch them, but then stop his fist just before it hits them, and they will pass out from shock.
Okay.
But you can also do a running, sliding knee into their face while they're on the ground.
Did you get the nunchucks yet?
No.
He's got some really, really good nunchuck animation.
Yeah, I like it is a silly, fun game, and there's a lot of it, and every time I play it, I am left satisfied, so it's cool. Bryan.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about Toree 2?
Toree 2, the sequel to Toree 3D, which is a game...
It's a sequel to Toree 3.
It's actually really annoying because when you list them alphabetically on your Switch, it lists Toree 2 before Toree 3D because Toree 3D has the number 3 in it. It's fucking ridiculous. This is the sequel. It came out 6 months after the other game. It was another €1 game on the Switch eShop. It's more of the same but improved.
Bryan, you're becoming kind of a €1 eShop lord.
A
lord of darkness where no one else will tread.
All 3 games I have listed here were all €1 on the eShop, and it's a pick and mix. It's wild.
Okay, we'll get to it, but one of these seemed fucking cool.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I really enjoyed Toree 2.
Which one was that again? Toree 3D.
Toree 3D is the one that looks like a Sega Saturn game where you play as a little yellow bird that goes real fast.
Oh, right,
and it looks like a cross between Sonic Jam and Sonic Or. This one has some good tracks. It has a really good song in one of the levels. You could beat this game in an hour. It's a vibe. I really enjoyed it. I am probably going to combine the two Toree games into one Toree game for Game of the Year because they feel like DLC chapters that just sort of interlink. But yeah, very good. Toree 2. If you like Toree 3D, there's another one of those. It's called Toree 2. Cool bird.
I played Wildermyth.
That's a good name.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Is it good?
It's interesting, and this is basically like, it's kind of like a procedurally generated Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and you play with these little kind of cut out figures, and a bunch of random things can kind of happen that will like change them and affect them. Like, you know, it's basically all takes place on this like kind of board gamey board, and it really has like a board game vibe. And I went to a forest, and one of my characters like found a sacred tree, and I had a choice to touch it or not touch it, and I touched it because I'm not a fucking narc, and it turned my skin blue and made me more in touch with the spirit realm, which gave her like some buffs and stats in different areas. The cool thing about this game is the combat in it is actually really interesting and satisfying. It takes place on like a kind of grid, not unlike a sort of, you know, like a Disgaea or a Fire Emblem kind of thing, but there's a lot of mechanics for like, if you can attack an enemy at this angle and then you get an ally to attack them at a 90 degree to that angle, they get a bonus, and so then you line up your guys so you're basically like 360 in them, and it's really fun. The way magic works in this game is it works really differently to like a ranged attack, in that you infuse like a boulder or a door or like any number of objects around the scenery, and those objects all have specific attacks. So if you infuse like a wool sack, you can basically use that to bind an enemy in place and stuff like this, which is really cool because like I don't like it in games when like archery or, you know, wizardry kind of amount to the same sort of ranged combat, and it's really interesting to see a different take on that.
Does that mean there isn't much in terms of elemental attack?
There is, yeah, there's a whole elemental table,
okay,
like
cool.
with different attacks and different things. And, you know, you can like go through it, and like your different characters get affected in different ways. Like one of my characters died in battle, and I made an option where like, she could like kind of kamikaze and take everything out with her, or she could try and escape, and like made her escape, and then like she showed back up in the story and she had an eye patch this time, and she had lost a lot of charisma because she was kind of messed up from that fight.
Aww.
And stuff like that is cool. I think my only problem with it is like, there is just a kind of genericness to it all. Like, it has a very, I would say the look is kind of charming, but it has a look to it where like, if you bought a board game, these, and you opened it up, these would be the pieces from it, and you wouldn't be surprised.
They look like stock RPG characters from what I just
really
searched there.
do. And I feel like a problem that I'm having with this game is it just doesn't really have much of an identity. Because that thing you said, Brian, like stock RPG characters, I would say that of the writing, and I would say that of the music.
Oh,
like
okay.
the music is like a lute playing,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, and it's a shame because like the design at the heart of this thing is cool, like a procedurally generated Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and like there's other things that have kind of touched on it. But say something like FTL, which is the sci-fi kind of a sci-fi roguelike. What I found like in each run of FTL, I was like, a story was happening, you know, like, oh no, I lost this crew member and now it's just me and my space dog, and oh no, now we're running out of air, but oh, what the fuck, we just found this really cool spaceship. With this, it's more like, oh cool, I met this person and we got drunk. Oh cool, now this character has a face tattoo. Doesn't really mean anything. Okay, let's go to the next battle, have a fight. Cool. Okay, we'll get the loot there. And like, it's just, if wild shit can happen, it hasn't really happened.
Okay.
It's more, oh, cool, that's nice.
Do you think the combat has a depth to it that will carry it if the story is kind of, and the characters are kind of...
What's had me coming back to it is I like the combat.
Okay.
It's like, you know, if there's a fog of war, so you can't see the enemies, you open a door, it's like, oh shit, look at all these enemies, and like, how are you going to set up for that? That stuff's cool. I did get a pet robot, like a medieval robot, which is kind of fun.
Aww.
And so like there is stuff, I guess, like to me, I'm looking at this right now, and it's like, you got a lot of cool ingredients here, but you're missing, like, there's a vibe that is not there, and also, like, do something to really wow me. Like, show me what this engine can actually do.
Are you playing it on Switch?
No, I think it's just PC, but I think this is going to come to everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seems like a good Switch game.
I am kind of halfway into it. I would probably download it for the Switch, you know. But, Niamh, tell us about Sable.
So Sable finally released. I talked about it earlier in the year when they dropped a demo for the Xbox kind of demo showcase that they were doing.
Yeah.
This is the open world game where it's like it has that really unique cell shaded kind of illustrative Mobius style look to it. Where you play as Sable, a girl who is going through a rite of passage from her tribe, where it's her gliding, where she gets her hover bike and she's basically allowed to go out into the world and experience the world, and sometimes they come back to the village and sometimes they don't.
A desert nomad tribe.
Yeah. It is just a beautiful game in all respects. The soundtrack is by the band The Japanese Breakfast, and it's just haunting and pretty and beautiful. The aesthetic of it is so nice. It has a day-night cycle, and like the way it uses colors within those different cycles is so interesting. Like the night cycle, like
it must look real cool during dawn and twilight as well.
Yeah, like they'll do stuff where they'll take the like kind of like mid-ground and background, and they'll just like merge it into one kind of thing where it's like one kind of purpley color now, where before it had like really distinct stark colors like orange against the blue sky.
Yeah,
I think I saw like a time lapse of this, and it really was not like getting lighter, getting darker, sun going up, sun. It was like, oh, there's like some weird dynamic color shit here.
Yeah, like the color, like if you're into color theory, like this is a cool game. Like every time my girlfriend walks in and out of the room when I'm playing this, she's just like, this looks so good. The demo kind of gave you the first area, and there's a lot there to do. Like I got like around 3 hours out of the demo, which was a lot. I am now outside of those gates. I am on my gliding. I am meeting people outside the world. It's a pretty barren world, but it's kind of like Breath of the Wild, where there's a lot of like, you have a stamina bar and you can climb. You also have a float, so if you fall, you can float down, kind of like Link's glider kind of thing.
And cushion your landing.
Yeah, a lot of it is like, you see something up high and you have to climb there, and like aesthetically it's really cool. Like it might be a huge like whale bone or something, or like a ship, and you're just like, what happened in this world that these things have coexisted, or like in the desert, like an old ship and also a dinosaur bone structure, also really sci-fi looking shit. So a lot of it is you trying to cleverly make your way up to the top of something. So I can climb this bit, and maybe if I fall down here, I can float to here, and then my stamina will maybe take me to this part. And when you get to a lot of tops of stuff, you'll meet different characters like balloon cartographers, which will open up the map, kind of Assassin's Creed style, where you'll fill out your map. I don't even look at my map that much, to be honest. I just kind of fly around on my bike and kind of see where I go. The map kind of feels secondary. You kind of want to do it just to fill it out and kind of as a completionist kind of thing. But it has such a like vibe of being in that world where you're so immersed in it. The writing is like wistful, it's witty, it's genuine, it's never cynical. This game doesn't have a attack button. Like there's no combat in it. You can't punch something.
Well,
you
sign
can't
me
hit
the
something.
fuck out. Why are we even talking about this?
I don't know. I've
Brian,
never
just
played a
an
game like
exploration.
this.
Brian, can you believe
Yeah.
this shit?
So are you exploring the world, but in a way you're exploring yourself?
Yeah.
And so as well, I wanted to ask, are you going up? Are you climbing up to these impossibly high peaks, going right to the cliff's edge, turning on photo mode and getting a nice little silhouette snapshot?
All the time. It
Brilliant.
is so pretty. But like, yeah, there's no combat in it. And like, I only noticed that like a little bit in that there was no combat in it. I have never played a game with no combat, I don't think. That is weird. I like shooting shit. Like, I like a good shotgun.
She's a very violent person.
Yeah, totally.
So like, this was like a weird departure for me specifically, because there's games like Breath of the Wild where you're kind of make your own fun, kind of explore. Like, the fun of it is to be immersed in this beautiful world. And like, sometimes I find those difficult.
Breath of the Wild is awesome when you're not doing shit you're meant to be doing.
Yeah. And sometimes I find it
Off
hard
the
to kind
beaten
of
track.
keep
It's the best part.
motivated in this. But with this, like, the structures are so weird and interesting. Like, it goes from that really, like, when I found a forest of weird looking trees, like, that was exciting because up until that point it was like plains and like rock formation. So like getting to these new things and having them like looked so totally different and alien to themselves is always interesting. There is a town in it and there's like little outposts where you do meet characters and they give you missions. Like sometimes they're as basic as find 5 bugs and you will go and find 5 bugs to get the thing. It's kind of like, it feels like not nearly the point. Like, I don't, like, and that's probably a knock against it as well. Like, I don't really remember the missions, you know?
Okay, so I feel like I've heard people talk about this game a lot. I'm not really sure what you do in this game.
like is there an end goal? Is there an objective?
Are you fetching things or?
Kinda. So you have a mask in it, and everyone from your clan and in that world wears a mask. So you can collect the masks. There's also different types of, like, egg that you can collect and trade in, and you can update your bike and make it cooler. So there is, like, goals within that, and there is, like, mini missions within that. To me, the fun of it, or what's charming about it, is just exploring it.
Right. So
on your own
you know
path.
the way in Breath of the Wild, it's like, okay, go out into the world. There's Ganon's castle. Go there when you can. Is there a central goal?
No, the central goal is you are of the age where you get to explore the world. Make of it what you will. Like, you can do as much or as little, you know.
That's kind of ballsy.
Yeah, and like there's definitely missions. You have a log with missions in it and it'll show with the ones you've completed and shows the steps that you've completed, and you have a device that will show you what direction to go if you click on the mission. So it will give you direction if you want direction. But a lot of the times I will use them to get to a place and then turn it off and then explore it off my own path kind of thing.
Is the game cozy in that?
Very cozy.
Okay, so it's a cozy game that isn't a farming sim.
Yes.
Okay.
It is an adventure sim. It is a journey sim. Like,
Yeah, but like that, you're not at a high risk, but there is a challenge.
yeah. The challenge is making your way up to heights. Like, you can't die. At least I don't think so. Like, even if you fell off the top of something, I don't think you would die.
But you
I
would
haven't
have to
tried it.
like
I've always
physically
put myself
go
in the
back.
bubble.
But you would have to go all the way up.
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it is just about kind of journeying through this beautiful, weird place. And the writing is like wistful and interesting, but it's all very like, I can tell you what I did on my gliding and what I liked, but it's about you exploring it for yourself.
How much do you think me and Bryan personally should play this game?
Like, I don't know, because like on paper this is not a game I like. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I would say I like cozy games.
Because that's what I'm trying to get around. Because like to me, I'm like, this, like not just what you're saying, but like what I've heard in general. There's a lot of stuff where I'm like, I just don't think this is something I'm going to be into. But it does look weird, and like I hear you that like this is a good experience for you, and you would not be into this kind of game normally.
Yeah, like I've spent hours, and it's a real, like, I've put on podcasts, I've put on music. The soundtrack is great as well. I just like being in the world. It's like it has soft goals to achieve.
Soft goals. I wish I should have some more soft goals.
Yeah.
It does clever stuff where it will give Sable's internal monologue. So you will meet a character, and they're not going to animate much. They're going to stand there, but they're going to look cool. Like,
And they're all wearing masks, so they don't have to emote facially.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But you'll get an internal dialogue of Sable who says, "Oh, this character laughs shyly," you know, or I'm getting she gets a vibe off a character, and she will she will speak her internalized thought. You will get that internalized thought. So you know what these characters are like from how Sable reacts to them, but also the way Sable reads a person is kind of a read on Sable herself kind of thing. There isn't a lot, but it kind of all comes together to make a lot.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like a big thing about Silent Hill 3 was Heather's descriptions of everything were reflections of her as opposed to the description as like what she was describing, and that can be powerful. Like that is good.
And like I don't think it's as deep as that, but it is a clever way to give NPCs more personality that you can't achieve with animation kind of thing.
Totally. I don't know, I might sit down with this for an hour at
It's
some
on
point
Game
just
Pass,
to see.
you know, so
you've got no choice, John. You gotta play it.
I was totally in, like, my interest in this was aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing it.
Cool. Metroid Dread. I beat it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I came out really liking this game. I have issues with it for sure, but wow, they sure took some swings in that last hour. Well, that last hour being just that last boss fight.
It's got, there's some good set pieces. It feels a bit Quicktime Event-y, but because it's the same developers of Samus Returns on the 3DS, there's a similar final boss fight in that where half of it is just, playing the game, and then the other half is just like where it goes into the interesting camera angles and you just have to read the prompts.
I genuinely don't mind well done QuickTime events. I think they can be a crutch for game design in a lot of ways. I don't like when QuickTime events are tied to regular enemies, like in the original God of Wars. They'd have to mash the fucking button to kill the Minotaurs every fucking time. I think that stuff sucks. I think they can be a really fun way to imbue tension into a fight, and I think it works this way. I think I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything, but I think it's interesting that they solved the Legend of Zelda title problem.
They did, yeah.
You know what I mean?
They sure did.
They sure did.
I don't know what this means.
Cool.
I will tell you after podcast.
Okay.
It's a cool fucking design.
Yeah, it's awesome. I played the first hour of this game and I was really enjoying it. And then I ran into different parts where, I think there's maybe 2 or 3 times where I got really stuck in this. And at one point I had to look up a guide. That's a bad feeling with a Metroid. It's a bad feeling with a corner scratcher. That's not what itchers want,
And he's an itchy guy.
I'm an itcher.
When you looked up the solution, was it one of those obvious
To be honest
ones,
with you,
or was
it was
it
the
not?
only part of the game where it's backtrack halfway across the world and use your item here.
Oh.
And actually, maybe what happened is I just didn't know to go that way, and I just ended up going all around the map and ended up really far away where I was meant to go.
There is a point in the game where you can go anywhere, and so it's very easy to go in the wrong direction.
I don't think it wasn't the point that you got stuck at. I was actually fine there.
You were fine there.
I just happened to go the right direction, but there was another point where I really just got lost, and it was so difficult to find out what I needed to do, and that was just not fun. I didn't feel like I was exploring an alien world. I felt like I was just having a frustrating time. Other than that, I did find parts of it really frustrating. I really felt like I've never gotten this from a game before, but I feel like if me and the person who designed the levels for this game sat down and had a drink, we would not agree on fucking anything in our entire lives. I just felt like the way we perceive the world is different. That is how much I did not like the layout of some of these maps.
They're strange, and they don't really represent a unique area.
Yeah, I thought some of the environmental design was okay. I did find some of the biomes were kind of interesting. I liked the weird kind of when you get to the more regal palacey kind of places for the Chozo. That was cool. Yeah,
I saw screenshots of that. That does look great.
Yeah, and the Chozo in general, big fan. Love those boss battles.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, they're fucking brilliant.
I really like when Samus has to fight a boss or a mini boss that is the same height as her.
They work so much better than they should. It's because of that dash. That dash is amazing.
Yeah, and it really feels like Hollow Knight in that sense, where it's a very intimate one-on-one fight.
Yeah, totally.
They really made the Chozo sexy.
Oh, they're so sexy.
Cool birds.
Yeah, it's just that Garrett.
Did they always look like this?
Again.
They look like Destiny characters.
They were always giant, slender birds, but they have made them sexier.
Yeah.
They used to have giant heads. They don't anymore.
Yeah.
But, coming out of it, I did have a very good time with this game. And when I was finished it, I was left feeling kind of what do I play now? Because this game got in my brain in a really good way.
Did it happen to you? Because I know it's happening to a lot of people. Did you find power bomb upgrades before finding the power bomb?
No.
Because that's what happened to me and a lot of others, where you would... So, the power bomb is a late weapon feature that you
One
get.
of the last.
Yeah, it's one. I think it is the last.
Oh wait, no, and it says to you this is an upgrade for something you don't have yet or something.
Yeah,
I did find that. Yeah,
and so that's what happens where the game opens up enough that you just it's very easy to go and just look for collectibles that you couldn't reach but now you can.
Yeah,
but they end up being for something that you can't use yet in a story beat because you need to advance further in the plot.
Yeah.
to get them.
So, like, there were parts, like, I think there was a part, like, 2 hours into this game, I was close to dropping it. Like, I was close to, like, fuck this. Like, I'm not having a good time. Eventually, I feel like I kind of got in rhythm with the game where I understood how it was trying to direct you. And, like, I think it is something for the design that you do get to a place where you're like, I see what they're trying to get me to do. But getting to that point is frustrating. And so... You know, I would have my problems with it, but overall, this was a game I really enjoyed. And this was a very good Metroid game. I wish the map layout would just chill the fuck out a bit. Like, when you go back and look at, like, Metroid Fusion or even, like, you know, Super Metroid's map screens, they're just maps.
Yeah.
And every fucking room in this is this giant room with loads of, like, diagonal corridors with 4 doors at each corner, some of which you can go into, some of which you can't, some of which you go into, then cannot go back in, and it's just, that shit drives me nuts. But ultimately, the positive points of this game way outweigh the negative for me.
The warps between the maps are very strange because some of them are like a train or a shuttle you take from A to B. Some of them are teleport pods that are buried deep within a map that aren't on like the like outline of an area. So for them, you're like, okay, so I need to go here, but I have to go deeper into the map to go deeper into another part of the map.
And generally, those elevators...
And they are color coordinated, but it does require you, like putting your finger on the screen and going, okay.
Yeah. And, like, generally, like, the game will always dump you out of a sequence next to an elevator, and what they're saying to you there is, get on that elevator and go to this zone and you'll find out what to do. If you miss that, you will spiral off, lose your place of what you're meant to be doing, and that's when you get stuck.
Yeah.
You know the best part of that game, Brian? You know the first elevator you get into, and you get the little elevator sequence of Samus on the elevator?
Yeah, with the light strobe hitting
Best shit of the whole year.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking brilliant. Just Samus being cool.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It's a cool game.
Brian, tell me, is a cool game?
A is a game. I came across this game that is called lowercase A on the Nintendo Switch eShop about 2 weeks ago in the recent releases. You cannot search for this game because if you search the letter A, the top results are games with the letter A in it, such as Mario and Zelda. If you Google a video game, you get a video game.
If you Google a Nintendo Switch, you get a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, but like this game is called.
Do you think that's part of it? Because like you showed me this game, Brian, and it felt like a creepy, talented person whispering to me.
Yeah, okay.
Like they didn't want anyone else to know.
This is a cursed little secret, and it's fucking brilliant.
And even the thumbnail on the Switch shop is just like a black square.
Yeah, and it has like an A, but drawn on like the thinnest like outline, and then the weird silhouette of someone in the background, but you can only see it if your screen is at a certain brightness. This game came out in October on the Switch, so all you need to do is go to the Switch eShop and look through the October releases. There will be a game for €1 called A, and this game takes about an hour or two to beat, and it uses some features of the Switch that I don't think other games have used. It's a bit where you have to time travel.
Huh.
You gotta use the system clock.
Oh my god.
Oh, cool.
And it launches and it looks like a fucking cursed Saturn game, and you're like, what the fuck am I playing? It's a shitty little platform where you play as like a little worm ghost. And you just have to do these trials, and the overworld maps. The first one features Captain Olimar from Pikmin, but
he's just there,
and it's just Captain Olimar. It's not implied. It's fucking Captain Olimar. Later on, you go on top of a Nokia 3310 or a Nokia 5210, and there's a frog, and he won't talk to you unless you're wearing the frog costume. And then he's like, "Hello, I'm Jonathan the Frog," and he tells you all about it. There's a pumpkin, and he runs the shop. And when you leave, he goes, "Boom, goodbye." The villain of this game is Count Dracula. He's really small. Someone just made this up as they went along, and I did find the developer's Twitter because it's made by one person. I can't find his Twitter again. I have to go through my search history. But I went back to like tweets he made at the beginning of the year where he said, I think I might make a video game. And this is his video game. And it's fucking brilliant. And
I loved what you showed me. Like, I'm going to play this.
Yeah. Like this is Frog Fractions good.
Yeah.
It's fucking just, it's a stupid,
and
fun,
like the
amazing
writing
time.
was weird and fun as well. Like, it wasn't just dumb.
Yeah,
and even the main menu was so fucking cool.
It's some busted ass brilliance.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came out around mid-October, and it's called that's enough of a clue that if you're interested, you can seek it out further. I'm sure it's on the Steam library as well, but like it's called I don't know how to this game is going to get buried.
Yeah, at some point this is going to get too far down recent releases and no one's going to ever be able to find it.
So, I am on the Nintendo eShop right now and I've been scrolling in the A category and I cannot find it.
Yeah, so okay, listen, Bosscast Discord, need you guys to show out, everyone buy this game. We need it to exist and we need people to know what it is. Okay, it's €1 or maybe $1. I don't know.
What I'll do is on our Twitter, I will try and find, because it will be in my transaction history. I can pop the link up on a browser. It'll be on the Nintendo Ireland page, but maybe if you click the link, it'll change to your respective region. If you're in any way curious,
it's cool. Like it's a vibe.
Yeah, stupid vibe, but
stupid, but brilliant.
Stupid fucking game.
Brian,
yes,
tell us about Fatim Batula.
Fatim Batula is another game I played on the Switch, and it is a low poly horror point and click adventure in first person.
Cool.
And you are just in a mysterious environment, and you are talking to various NPCs and quest givers and trying different item combinations to get a series of 10 different endings. I've gotten about 4 of them. You're more or less trying to poison a plant or like a tree that's in like sacred chamber, and it has this like holy water, and you are talking to NPCs and getting different things. Like you are killing a cat to get blood, you're poisoning a cat to get poison blood, which is different to regular blood. You're getting oil, you're getting rare minerals as gifts from NPCs, and you just get these really surreal cutscenes that are like a minute long that contain live action footage that represent whatever the author or developer was going for.
I like this cat design. The designs are really cool. Like,
yeah.
It has a kind of a PS1 vibe to it.
It does, yeah. And like the texturing and the mesh isn't very nice, and it warps a lot, but that's really, really fun. And there's a bit where you go to the dream world, and when you're in the dream world, it does this fun thing where all the textures are missing and they have a placeholder symbol. But what that means is that the placeholder symbol is your only kind of way of reference, and so the smaller the placeholder, you know that's further away, but you're walking through geometry that you don't realize is geometry or an obstacle until you like walk around it and you're like, oh, that's a bridge I need to cross, or that's a lake that I can't cross. It's a weird one. It's kind of not fun to play sometimes, but it's got a charm, and I was entertained for an hour or two.
Cool.
Out of the 3 €1 games I played, it's probably the weakest, but it was still kind of fun. It's called Fatim Batula, which I assume is Latin for something, or maybe made up Latin.
Who knows?
Anyway, it's got the word fat in it, so that's kind of fun.
That is kind of fun, Brian.
Yeah, keep it fat.
Speaking of keeping it fat, I played Tormented Souls.
Is that a fat game?
I don't... Like, again, are we talking PH?
I don't know. Is
sure, yeah, absolutely.
Keeping it fat.
This is a really weird little game. This is basically... You're a girl, get a letter, and the letter is just a picture of 2 twins, and then you get a headache, and then somehow... You wake up naked in a creepy bathroom, in a creepy bathtub with a giant tube down your throat.
Oh no.
And there's a cutscene where she has to pull the tube out her throat, and it's like it's like the tube takes like 2 or 3 more yanks than you think it will. That's the kind of horror we're dealing with here.
Is this like photorealistic 3D horror, or what is it?
The environments are really, really realistic. Like, they're really impressive.
The character models?
No. Like, okay, well, like, I mean, the only character model I've met, a weird priest who has just a giant metal crucifix, like, on his chest. And then I've met a bunch of spooky monsters. The main girl in it, you know, it kind of looks like someone's drawing of, like, this is what I want my girlfriend to be. She has, like, a really, like, effeminate floral sundress and then a hooded leather jacket and fingerless leather gloves. Mm-hmm. And it ain't great. It's not a great character design.
Yeah. A real girl I don't think would wear this.
Yeah, I could see a real girl wearing different aspects of that outfit, but not all at once. This is like very clearly people who love like Resident Evil remake, like PS2 survival horror, that era, because it is super doing that, and it is doing that in ways that I think are definitely very intentional and ways that are very unintentional. I could not find where the developer was from. I only did a quick Google and I couldn't find anything about them. I get the feeling English isn't their first language, or if it is, you know, writing is not the strong suit here. Very early on, she says the line, "Since I read that letter, I haven't been fine."
Oh dear.
Yeah.
She hasn't been fine.
She hasn't been fine.
Continuous present is hard.
Yeah. And it's what this game does have going for it. It does have like an atmosphere. It really does. The place you wake up is this, it's like a mansion that used to be a hospital. So it's like, take those 2 classic survival horror environments and just layer them on top of each other, and that stuff is great. And like how they move the camera through the environment is fucking amazing. Like this place has the detail and quality of like a really great pre-rendered background, but it's all 3D. You go over to inspect something and the camera will swoop through the 3D space close in on what you're looking at. It looks phenomenal. It looks really good. The puzzles are weirdly excellent.
Wow.
Like, the puzzles in this are not your typical, you know, find this door for this thing. You actually kind of have to think, like, you kind of have to stop and be like, wait, what are they asking me to do here? And then you figure it out and you feel so fucking smart.
Are they environmental or like...
Yeah. Very. It's
okay.
like, you know, there was the first room you wake up in, you're locked in that room, and it's like this really tiny little puzzle box that you just have to kind of like, oh, you solve this and you get this thing from here, and then, oh, what does this do? Oh, wait, I see from the back of the photograph, and, you know, shit like that.
Yeah.
Each little room like that feels like an episode of Crystal Maze. And it's cool. I've only played like an hour. The monsters are pretty creepy looking. I think so far it is leading a lot into like, what if it was a person but they had no legs? And like, I feel like we're kind of past that with horror a little bit, you know. It's like, I think we've kind of, people in general have kind of acknowledged, you know what, maybe we should stop demonizing this kind of shit. Like, maybe we shouldn't, like, maybe horror should be a little more than like, what if this wasn't a normal person, or like, you know, a like able-bodied person. And I think that's, it's not a super great direction, but it's the direction they've went so far.
I think that's always the weak point of these like indie horrors. It's like usually like, say like something like Visage, like the environments look great and the mood is so good, but when you kind of get to the story and the monster design, it is kind of like super cliche, and you're like, okay.
I am very much getting the vibe of a surgeon who has put people back together the weird way. And hey, I'm not opposed to that aesthetic. Some might even say I quite enjoy it. But I've also seen it plenty times, and it's like, cool, I get it.
Yeah.
But this game there's something to it. You know, like, it's kind of janky, and the dialogue is really bad, and the voice acting's not very good. But I am enjoying the cheesy quality of that as well. Like, this really feels like a haunting ground.
Is this like a stalker game where you have like a sanity meter or anything?
Yet.
Okay.
If you go into the dark without a light, I think you start to go insane.
Okay.
But there's no sanity meter or anything.
And you have weapons. You can fight these things.
So far, I have a nail gun.
Okay.
And I would say, like, there's a weak part. It's kind of a weak part of the combat is that, like, I feel like there's little simple mechanics that make games great, and one of them for a survival horror game is just the action of shooting a gun. You know, you get a recoil, you get a muzzle flash, you get, like, you know, your bullet dropping from the gun and click-clacking against the ground. You know, you get the blood from the enemy, you see the enemy, like, fall and react. This has none of that. This has a very simple, like, move back animation and a sound effect, and the enemy kind of shudders. There is no impact to this weapon at all.
Okay.
And it nearly makes me feel like I wish there was no combat in this.
Yeah, because that kind of feels like they don't want you to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, like, you know, ammo is extremely limited, and you're very vulnerable to the enemies, and they are spooky. Like, the first time one, like, wheels by, it is like, what the fuck was that, you know? And it's... but the act of fighting them is not very satisfying.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. You know, there's things I really like about this game, there's things I don't think work. If you're into old school survival horror, this is nearly a kind of must at least to check out. Now, look, I don't know, I could come back next episode and being like, well, I was fucking wrong. It's a little creepy and exploitive as well. Like, they have no trouble, like, getting all up in that girl, and it's not. It's just kind of like, okay.
Is the camera horning?
Her outfit's horning. You know, she runs around, and if that camera is anywhere below, like, the 90-degree line, it's like you're seeing some panty, Brian. Yeah.
Cool, great.
But look, I'm still having fun with it. It's dumb and exploitive in the way horror can be, but it is a slice of gaming that is not around anymore, and I like that for it. And, like, some amazing environmental design and genuinely cool puzzles. So yeah, check it out. Quicktime Events. A Quiet Place video game has been announced coming 2022.
People love those movies. Here's a game.
Did either of you see the second one?
Yeah, I did.
Was it any good?
I can't remember.
Well, there you go.
That means yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't bad, because if it was bad, I'd be annoyed. Those films are fine. I don't really, like, they're competently made. I don't really care.
Yeah, me neither. I didn't love the first one. I thought it was super cliched. But, like, the idea of this being a universe with extended narratives, I'm kind of like, oh.
When are they gonna fight the babies from Bird Box?
Yeah, make it that. But, like, with A Quiet Place, okay, so is this going to be a stealth?
It should be a stealth game, and the video game needs to have very, very good sound design and very good AI, because the sound in the films is incredibly important. So that needs to be very well tested for a video game.
Don't make sound is not something video games, I think, have ever done well.
Yeah.
It's a really annoying premise. Like, I kind of, like, hate that. Just
I don't know if this would be
generally.
fun to play, because, like, the people in The Quiet Place aren't having fun. There's no satisfaction in any situation.
The developer for this, and I don't know if it's developer or the publisher, but they mostly do ports. I think they ported Cuphead and they ported, like, Lara Croft Go and stuff. So I think it's interesting for them to maybe do an original kind of game and stuff.
Like, if it's something that they're, like, passionate about and they're like, fuck yeah, let's make this horror game, that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's developed by Illogica. Like, I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see when a trailer drops, but, like, my gut reaction is like, okay.
I would be surprised if anyone was like, oh my god, they're making A Quiet Place.
John, people love those fucking films.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe there are, I don't know.
Like my aunts love those movies. Like Bird Box aunts love Quiet Place, because, like, they're all the same genre, where it's just, like, mom protecting children horror, apocalyptic.
I watched an episode of Squid Game with my parents because I forgot to bring season 2 of The Wire.
And
okay, that show is just kaiji.
yeah,
Like, not even like
no, but it's mainstream
But like,
Kaiji.
not even
know.
like, oh, they nabbed a few things from Kaiji. It's just Kaiji. Like, it's only Kaiji. It's 100. Like, you could match any moment from the first episode to. Look, anyway, I don't really care. It seemed fine. It looks nice. But my parents were like, well, that was very strange, John. But you'd want to see what happens in the next episode. And I was like, yeah, that's how this show gets people, I guess.
Yeah.
I got nothing against it. It seems fine.
Yeah, my parents keep telling me to watch it, and I'm just like, I think I know what this is. It's okay.
Watch Kaiji will terrify you much more.
I know the murder game genre. I don't need to see Squid Game.
I've
Don't
I've
put
read
Kaiji into that.
No, I'm not. But I just don't need to see it.
I've read enough Game of Death manga this year.
That's kind of what I was saying. I was kind of like, I was sort of like to my parents, oh, I've seen this many times.
I read like all of As the Gods Will or Of the Gods Will. There were so many volumes of that.
Yeah.
And it's just the same thing where it's like, this is the room where if you step on a checkerboard that turns blue, another one turns red, and they'll
and, like,
explode.
I'm not trying to shit talk it too much, because like if I hadn't seen that stuff,
I've never seen Squid Game.
Yeah,
But I have.
But it looks nice. It's well made, and the actors do all seem cool.
I'd say
But
they're brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
I also, yeah. Anyway, I might watch more. Honestly, I don't know.
I'll
Quicktime
watch it in
Events.
2 years.
Yeah, I'd rather wait till the hype's down. Just enjoy it peacefully. Pikmin Bloom, which is the game developed by Niantic, who did Pokemon Go. This is essentially Pokemon Go with Pikmin.
What? That's so weird.
They put out a trailer for it today, and it's going to be coming out on the App Store and the Android Store over the coming days worldwide, depending on your region. There isn't really a breakdown of when it's coming out, but it will be out over the next couple of days.
Are you gonna play this, Bryan?
Oh yeah, I have to. I love Pikmin. It's also the 20th anniversary of the original Pikmin. It launched with the GameCube. The GameCube launched, came out in the launch window of the GameCube. The GameCube is 20 years old in September, I believe, and Pikmin came out around October 2001, I think. I love the Pikmin games. I think they're brilliant. This trailer, like the original Pokemon Go trailer, does a very bad job of explaining what you do in this game, but it does seem like you have to walk outside physically and go to geolocations, and make a note of yourself. But most of the trailer was just little cutscenes of the Pikmin doing funny stuff, but it was very confusing.
Sony's State of Play.
It's happening right now.
Do you want me to go through some announcements?
Yeah.
First look at Deathverse, Let It Die. Don't know what that is.
Wait, that's not the grasshopper thing, is
No,
it?
this is, I thought so too. It's developed by Supertick Games.
Because this is for third-party games on the PS4 and PS5.
This is a really interesting one coming out of State of Play. Dune's Timothy Chalamet was once an Xbox YouTuber.
Yeah, he did controller mods, like for the 360 controller.
That's cute.
And people have identified him by a scar in his finger.
He confirmed it.
The internet's weird. Yeah, you know what, fair enough. If he's like, yeah, that was me.
Did you guys see that Cowboy Bebop trailer?
Yeah.
There you go.
Doesn't look terrible.
No,
Yeah.
I hope it sticks the landing.
Spike had one or two lines where I was like, no, that's not Spike.
Not my Spike.
It's just not Spike.
There's a King of Fighters beta announced for PS4 and PS5.
There you go.
Sure.
A new Star Ocean, The Divine Force.
Brilliant. That was on the Super Nintendo.
The last one I played was the PS2 one.
Yeah,
That's a really like a long time JRPG franchise that doesn't come out very frequently.
I bought that.
They're all kind of like only okay.
Yeah, I bought Star Ocean for the PS2, like, you know, the big Star Ocean
Yeah.
one, played 5 hours of it, traded it in for Killer 7.
Yeah, the right move. Like, I played that game as well, like, and I was really high on, like, my RPGs during that one, and I was like, this is the worst one I played on the PS2. Like, it wasn't bad, it was just kind of fine.
It was the first JRPG I played where I was like, oh, I don't like all these, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, I haven't seen this trailer because we've been recording this podcast, but that guy's face looks weird. This is the main character, John.
Oh no, he looks like Brock Lesnar shrank down as a baby.
I wouldn't want to be friends with that guy. Sony.
I kind of appreciate him in that he's not super pretty. Like, it's kind of weird.
Sony's getting a kart rider game called Kart Rider Drift. Looks a bit like they look like Mega Man characters. It also kind of looks like Speed Freaks, and Speed Freaks was pretty cool.
They showed more of Little Devil Inside, which was that really beautiful animated looking thing.
Yes.
That game kind of went quiet after the original like trailer, so it's nice to see a new trailer.
Do you remember it was like real big, and then there was like some enemy on it based on some it was some kind of like racist depiction of something, and there was like controversy. So there was like the initial announcements, there was that, and then I think they were like, okay, let's shut the fuck up for a while. Like they came out and said, oh fuck, we didn't think of that, we apologize, and like, you know, it was like they handled it as well as they could.
That game looks beautiful, just design-wise. It's like looks designed out the wazoo, like from this little world map that I'm looking at and stuff.
Everything from like the character designs to like the layouts of the screens and the environments look so cool. I'm really curious to see like what kind of game it is.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it. It doesn't look like they announced a release date for it either, though. But that seems to have just become a bigger thing in general. It seems like a pretty quiet state of play, I think.
As they are. That's video games.
That's video games.
Video games.
No, that's video games. Emails.
We're going to do one email this episode, okay? Mm-hmm. We can do a fun, silly, multi-question email, or because it's Halloween and this is sort of the Halloween episode,
Oops.
we can do a real fucked up email, real spooky one.
I mean, I'm down for spooks.
Yeah? You want your shivers, your timbers shivered? That's what I was going to say.
I'm not sure that's a Halloween thing as much as it is a pirate thing.
Hey, we're pirates sometimes.
Gotta get those anime somewhere.
Yeah. If you send us an email, you may, but you will need an email address. It is askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
That's askletsfightaboss@gmail.com, Niamh.
askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Niamh, you're not hitting that K hard enough when you say ask let's fight a boss. And like this has been an ongoing issue for a couple.
askletsfightaboss@gmail.com.
Better.
Thanks.
Okay, this one is from Amelia, and it's weird Catholic stories.
Oh no.
Are you okay with this one?
Okay, let me. So many of these are like
Traumatic.
Yeah, traumatic or deeply inappropriate. Okay, you want the horror of growing up in
Read the email, Bryan.
Okay, on your guys. Okay, so for hello, Brian and Beav.
Hello.
On your guys' recommendation, I started watching Midnight Mass. I was about to shit my pants like 5 times before the monster was revealed.
Oh dear.
And quickly learned that I know absolutely nothing about Catholicism. My girlfriend grew up in the church and was telling me all kinds of wild stuff about the rituals and things they do. I've only been to church twice. Whoa. And I've been an atheist since I was 12.
Oh, lucky.
So you could honestly tell me any old bullshit and I believe it. We're not going to do that. Okay. So I was wondering if you three had any funny and or disturbing stories from church or Catholic school. Obviously, if they're too traumatizing, you don't have to go into it. So I'll take that first question. Okay, this is a funny one, depending on how you look at it. I remember making my Holy Communion, and you are 6-7 years old when you make your communion. You don't know why you're doing it. You're just told that you have to dress up nice and God's going to be there. On the day, and this was like in May, because
both those things are true.
Like, I can remember being there in May, and I thought God was going to be sitting in the chair, like at the front of near the altar, and I was so disappointed he wasn't there. And I went over to my teacher, was like, "Where's God?" And he was like, "He's here." And I'm like, "Where?" And I was like pointing at like the seats, and he was like, "Oh no, he's like all around us." And I'm like,
doesn't fucking count.
That doesn't count. But I can remember I had to go to the bathroom because before you make your communion, you do a practice run with unblessed wafers. Or if you're real lucky...
Yeah, and these aren't like loaded. They're not live.
Yeah. Like a nun hasn't done holy prayers on it. These are just some like shitty ass wafers with no magic.
Only a priest.
No, nuns, bless them.
I would never take a wafer done by a nun.
I'm pretty sure that's what nuns.
I'm old school.
That's like what they do. They just cart them off to the nuns and they bless them on a conveyor belt.
I'm pretty sure a nun's job is that there's a nunnery and they just send in unblessed wafers and they bless them, and that's what they do.
No,
like
their job is to have sex with God or something.
Yeah, because he's all around there. He's sitting in a chair watching. Anyway, me and another kid were bursting to go to the bathroom, and we said to the teacher, can we go to the bathroom please? And the teacher was too busy, and this is not something you tell a 7-year-old, go to the bathroom on your own. And so I guess because there was 2 of us, it was okay that it wasn't one kid wandering on their own, but there was 2 of us. And so we went, and so the church had like a building beside it that had been like built in as like a corridor, but I guess that's where they kept the priests, you know, when they weren't like being used for anything, you know, like that's where they stored them.
Yeah, they back up into their coffins.
Yeah.
Just close the door.
Hang upside down. And we just ended up walking through corridors and corridors, and it was like a fucking maze. We were just lost looking for the bathroom, and eventually we just gave up and walked back, and the teacher was like, did you find the bathroom? And we both lied in a fucking church and said, yeah, we found the bathroom. And we were both still squirming and bursting, and it was one of those things where you know when you're a kid and you don't want to like cause a fuss, so you say nothing. I can go to the bathroom for like 6 hours and I was bursting, and that's real tough when you've got a little bladder.
Were either of you altar boys?
No. I was asked several times, and I said to my parents, do I have to do it? And my mum said, no, you don't have to do that.
No, I wanted to be, but the priest was like, you know, we'll see.
I was an altar girl because my town is really small, so you kind of just had to do it. And I was an altar girl for a really long time, but it is the most nerve-wracking experiences because you're waiting for points in the mass to ring your little bell or
so that's what happened to me. I got
shit.
a trial run and I fucked up the bell.
It's like, yeah, it's intense because you're just waiting, and if you fuck up, that priest will look at you and just be like, you fucking idiot. You know?
You're not going to heaven with that attitude.
I always liked the swinging smoke thing because that was fun.
That thing smells unreal as well.
Yeah, that's a bloodborne weapon.
Yeah.
So I have a story. You know, I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna tell this story, and then it's up to you guys if we leave it in or not. And Oni, also, if you feel like this isn't a good idea, you can play 10 seconds of the song "The Final Countdown" here because that's just a great song. Okay, so there was a priest in my secondary school who was like, I felt like a pretty cool dude. He was really nice, and I liked him a lot. And I had, you know, acne for a lot of secondary school, and I was very nervous about getting involved with anyone I liked, boy or girl. But at one point, I did meet a girl I liked, and I was really pumped about this. And like, it was a very innocent little thing for back then. But this priest would like take us on walks and like talk to us about what was going on and like slowly indoctrinate us with Catholicism. And I think the moment I learned how fucking weird Catholicism was, and like this was like early teen years, but I was still fairly like innocent, like in a lot of ways. And I was like, oh yeah, I met a girl, and you know, she seems really cool and she's nice. And there's a pause, and there's just this silence in the air. And then he goes, and I'll never forget it. Have you? It's the final countdown. And I couldn't really answer him because I kind of knew what he meant, but I was super embarrassed. And then without anything else, he just goes, 20 Hail Marys.
It's so weird how they hang that power.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks. Like,
and I was mortified because the most Hail Marys, he was like 20 Hail Marys, and this is the part that fucked me up, and an Our Father. And the most I had ever gotten was like 3 or 4 Hail Marys before that.
these are specific prayers that take about a minute each, and you gotta you gotta pronounce every single word in them. Otherwise, you gotta
I never
start from the
understood the
beginning.
logic behind it, and that really annoyed me. And I think that's what annoyed me about like a lot of Catholicism is like you'd go to confession, and like sometimes I used to just make up shit because I was just like, I haven't done anything particularly bad. So you know, you don't go through the gamut of like, I was mean to my brother and sister. I told my mom to fuck off. You know, and like you know, you get 3 or you get 20, and you just like don't know, and it's just like
It was so weird to find out what the quota was.
yeah, and it was just really annoying because it's just like I just made shit up so I'd have something to say to you because this is mandatory.
I used to take that shit so seriously. Like, I know this is gonna shock everyone, but I used to be such a good little Catholic boy.
All the sins.
All the sins, so into the sinning and redemption and punishment aspects of all that.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure that's not relevant in any of your other adult non-Catholic.
Yeah, you know, thankfully all that, I hit 20 and all that shit just fell away with no long-lasting repercussions at all.
Yeah, there's no yearning for some sort of kind of...
Mamma mia.
Anyway, we're gonna move into Patreon shoutouts.
No, I just have the other, which is Amelia's other question is, if you could make a... Catholicism's so weird. If you could make a Catholic horror film or show, what aspect of Catholicism would you want to explore or dissect? What would be your supernatural Catholic horror movie monster?
Oh, I don't know. I always find this like I was always made read the Stations of the Cross, like do those. I was very good at reading them. I always found the stations really creepy. The fact that there's these 14 kind of moments with a little story kind of something. So I think like a movie that was segmented into the stations and there was some kind of like horror in it or something that passed through those paintings because there's a painting for each station. That could be something cool. I know, stations are spooky.
I want like a really rotten priest in that like he
Just watch Deliver Us from Evil.
You know how priests do this thing where they're in like their diocese or their kind of local town where they visit someone's house every day and they have such a huge like congregation, yes, that's the word. Congregation that they have a new house to visit 365 days a year, and they're not going to miss a day because that's a free cup of tea, free biscuits, might be some cake, might be a sandwich, but priests get to,
you know, when you think about it, it's a sweet life.
And like priests get to just show up at your house, and like sometimes they don't ring ahead. It's just there's a knock on the door, the priest has come to visit, and you have to fucking entertain him for an hour. And you have to put on a show, and it's incredibly stressful for your parents, especially your mother, because she's probably the one at home most of the time. This would be 90s Ireland. I'd love one where it's about like a priest, but he's like this weird collector where like he goes to every house, but like maybe he leaves something rotten behind, or he takes something from the house.
Old like horror movies like it's called Precious Things or something, but basically salesman comes to town and ends up like owning a little piece of everyone. Yeah. Kind of like that.
Yeah, so he's taking some sort of personal heirloom, but like it's this thing where like it's never like shown that happens. It's just like it might be like a week later and maybe someone's cleaning around the house and something that was meant to be there isn't there anymore, and the priest just has like this kleptomania like hoard or something, but like it's got to be something like either really really personal or else something like completely like irrelevant that you're not gonna miss but it bothers you.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. I got two. One is called Nuns, and it's just a Resident Evil mansion full of evil nuns.
I feel like there has to be some kind of nun-exploitation movie.
There's The Nun.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's okay.
But this would be a little different.
The Nun is scary, but
then
that's
the other one, and this is the one I really love. If you guys have seen Krampus.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. I think it's such a weird, fun, creative horror movie.
It's got a really good ending as well, and that kind of like snow globe loop.
Yeah. I want that, except with Jesus on the cross. And I want him to be the final boss of that movie. And like I want the first attack to be like 20 little tiny priests. Like just like, you know, Photoshop constrained proportions, tiny little priests invading your home. Then I want like 2 giant nuns, but they have like wings and they land on your house. I want the little drummer boy. I want the 13 disciples, and it's just 13 crazy fucking monkeys. Like, I think that would be brilliant.
I'd love if Jesus on the crucifix was planking the whole time, and he couldn't move his arms because they were nailed to the crucifix, so he'd have to swing his entire wooden body around.
So with Jesus, first of all, I want Jesus fucking crazy ripped. I want him so big and strong, but he's kind of on the cross, so his two elbows are but the cross is inside his skin and he can't get it out, and he's so mad.
How about a horror movie where it's a fucked up monster Jesus, and the only way to contain him is to keep him nailed to the cross, and you have to keep hammering him down. It's a fucked up survival horror game, and he keeps screaming at you, but he'll keep clawing at you as well. So
That's
you have to watch
real
out.
good. What would we call this?
Catholicism for kids.
That's pretty good.
With it C.
Patreon shoutouts.
Was that scary enough for you?
I don't know. I spooked myself, I must say.
I might have a nightmare tonight, Niamh.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Patreon shoutouts. We have a Patreon. Thank you everyone for supporting it. We have a Discord, and there's a very nice group of people there.
Is Brian's GameCube's Corner still in the Discord?
It's now called Fantastic Questions with a PH, and I use it for the Shenmue Let's Play.
Oh, okay.
The Shenmue 2 Let's Play will resume at some point. We need to record more of it.
Things are a little hectic schedule wise, but we're doing our best.
We're very busy. We will put time aside to play more of Rio's money laundering antics. Anyway, we have this one channel called Patreon Shoutouts. If you leave a message there, we will read it out. John, the first one is for you.
It sure is. And boy, let me tell you, I am so excited to read this one message. Been thinking of it all day. And now that we're finally here, I just can't wait to read it out. But without further ado, here I go. Here is the message. Finding the podcast was an absolute treasure. And that's from Jeremy MCL?
Jerome Mackle.
Jerome Mackle? Thank you, Jerome.
Niamh, you got the next one?
This one's from Ro, I'm
That's
pretty
really
sure.
Good.
And it's Stream Pang by Caroline Polachek.
Is Stream Pang the name of a song, or is it
Pang is the album name.
But stream as in to actually
yeah, stream it. Listen to it.
Stream it. Okay.
Yeah. It's a pro Caroline Polachek one. That's from 2019, and I can't believe that album has been out for 2 years.
Wow.
I've been obsessed for a very long time.
I knew that one was coming up, and I wanted to make sure you read that one.
Thank you.
Then this one is from Lockbreaker, The Eggening. Do we all want to do this with our hands?
What? No.
No?
No.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. I liked it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lockbreaker.
Loot drop. I'm filling in my loot drop.
Brian, I was just reading my one has been put down as my dog has mites, and I was just like, what the fuck? My dog doesn't have mites. And then I was like, wait, oh yeah.
No, your dog has nipples.
Yeah. I get it. It's a callback.
I didn't know what to write, so I just wrote down my dog has mites.
I will find that very funny animated clip about the dog and its nipples in the vet. My other loot drop, did you say loot drop? Did one of us say it?
Yes.
Okay, great.
John
It
said
just
it.
took me a second.
My other loot drop is Tim Rogers of Action Button Reviews. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes.
Released his Cyberpunk 2077 review, and I looked at it first, and it was only an hour long, and I was just like, this doesn't seem right. The hour is the introduction, and it's a branching path, kind of like Cyberpunk.
Oh my god.
Where he's done 7 videos, 7 stories, and he asks you to pick 2 and then go to the ending, and only pick 2.
That's a fun idea.
Yeah, I'm really trying to respect that that's what he wants me to do, but like they're all really interesting like premises, like, you know, from graphics to what he liked to what he didn't like to cyberpunk as a genre to open world. Like it's all really interesting, but I'm going to do it for him. I'm only going to watch 2 and then watch the end one, and just like a video game, if I want to watch more, I will watch the introduction video again at a later date and do it for him. But I just thought this was a real cool premise. I'm halfway through the what he liked video on it, and as someone who did like the story of Cyberpunk and a lot of those characters, but it was such a broken mess of a game, also did not like it in any capacity. It's like nice to hear someone say positive things about it in a weird way, but also I'm very prepared to listen to the video of what he didn't like, because that game for me was such a mess. But yeah, Tim Rogers.
Man, I was like, I'm gonna be able to watch an action button review in one sitting.
No.
That's not how they're meant to.
I'd expect nothing less.
Mm-hmm.
I got one from Jacob Geller that I watched recently called I Don't Understand Hotline Miami 2. And it's just a really interesting look at what is a very confusing game in a lot of ways. It kind of seems like a game that the developers maybe didn't want to make but had to because of the success of Hotline Miami 1. Jacob is a cool guy, and I just really enjoyed this video.
I have 2. The first one is going to be that game A, because I found a link to it.
Cool.
Hopefully when you click the link, it opens up in your region and you can play A. It's a very strange game. Then my actual loot drop that I was intending to loot drop anyway is a YouTube channel called Coding Secrets, and it's called How Did This Sega Genesis Game Achieve the Impossible? This is on a Batman animated series game that uses some crazy ass
That
visual.
game looks fucking insane.
Yeah.
I know the one you're talking about.
And like the problem with these games is like this is a licensed game, so like it's never gonna be re-released on a modern console because the license is probably ran out, and so it just belongs on the Mega Drive or Genesis. And it's one of the late era games, and it pushed the hardware to the limit, and it's got some really, really cool effects in it.
I'm just going to do one more real quick, just because it's been on my mind a lot. Recently, in my travels, I discovered a YouTuber called Lumpy Touch, and they released a 7-part series called Relax John, which I just really enjoyed. And guys, that's going to take us to the end of the Mew episode of Let's Fight a Boss.
Mew?
It's 151st.
It is,
Oh.
yeah. Next episode is Chikorita.
Oh, fuck Chikorita.
Hey, John, Chikorita's lovely. She's got little hooves.
Niamh, what's your opinion on Chikorita? Give us your opinion on Chikorita, but also tie it out into a way that we can end this episode.
Yeah, I think that's easy enough
Yeah,
to do.
go
Is
for it.
Chikorita like the
Good night, everyone!